It's a blowback merch. It's blowback merch. Tellerico took Adelson money via a pack. I know. No, the 9/11 aspect of this is just to the 9/11 aspect here is just to like galvanize the American population, to be more invested in like doing unlimited bloodshed, unlimited warfare in Iran, for Israel's interest, by the way, and nothing else. Let's be real. There are many different ways. There are many different methods and many different ways of dealing with Iran. Diplomacy, obviously, is one of the most successful ways, and we have actually dealt with Iran through diplomacy in the past, and it has worked. And yet, for some weird reason, we just ran out of diplomacy. We just ran out of diplomacy this time around, guys. Also, I-24 is reporting that the Iraqi Kurdish forces have invaded Iran, like I said. It's not necessarily just like an Iraqi Kurdish invasion. It's more so that they've already been arming some of the Kurdish militias inside of Iran, but not even like the entire Iranian Kurdish population. I think their goal is to basically get the IRGC, like goad the IRGC into being super fucking aggressive with the Kurds. And then actually, I'm sorry, but the way you talk about the Kurds is racist, assuming they are dumb and incapable of making strategic decisions in critical times. No matter the ideology you are, the same it comes with the Kurds. Yes, I'm being an anti-Kurd. Deploy alongside special forces with air cover to a fucking sovereign country with the express purpose of destabilizing them and collapsing the fucking state to create a failed state. You're right. I don't give a fuck if you're Kurdish. Shut the fuck up. Every fucking day with these people. Holy shit. I talk about Cuba. Motherfuckers are like, well, I'm Cuban. Have you thought about communism? I'm Cuban. Bitch, shut the fuck up. Stop tuning in from Langley. I'm done. I'm speaking over diaspora voices, okay? I'm speaking over voices. There's no bodies in spaces happening. I'm speaking over your voice, okay? If you came in here and you were like, actually, I'm Palestinian and I think, Hamas is the real problem, not Israel, I would go, shut the fuck up. And it's the same principle here. You said you're in a good mood. I am in a good mood, but I knew it was going to fucking turn into a bad mood, okay? I'm in support of Kurdish autonomy. I'm in support of Rojava. I've literally interviewed people who have gone there and fought alongside the Kurdish militias in Rojava and the American State Department. One of my very close friends, one of my very good friends, Brace Belden, literally did the shit, okay? He is that dude. The idea that, like, I'm not in support of Kurdish autonomy is so fucking idiotic, okay? Shut the fuck up. Look what that got the Kurds in Syria. Hey, Hasan, do you believe this? Idiot, you are spiritually Israeli, but Turk. You are such fucking Turkish nationalist freak. Holy fuck, bitch, Turkish nationalist fuck. You are exactly like the Israeli libs. You are the equivalent to an Israeli lib. Yes, I am the equivalent to an Israeli liberal because I don't want Israel to fucking collapse the Iranian state. Shut up, bitch. That's so crazy. You said, I'm like Israel. Bitch, the guys are literally being armed by Israel. The people you're defending are being armed by Israel and working at the behest of Israeli policy. What are you saying? You can't do that shit here. You can't pull a, oh, you're Turkish, you're doing Turkish nationalism to me. What the fuck? Wait, Brace was actually fighting in the shit? I thought he was joking. No, dude, of course he was. What are you talking about? Yes. Working for Israel and the CIA, it don't work anymore. Trump admitted his plans. Yeah. Mossad, trying to get a rise out of you so you don't cover the news, bro? No. It's becoming increasingly clear that Iran is not lying about the targets. Satellite imagery suggests that a fire broke out near the communications headquarters of the new U.S. Navy Arleigh Burke-class destroyer after it was attacked by Iran. We would need to see higher quality imagery before making a better assessment, though. Oh, my God. Maybe they're not lying. Yeah, by the way, once again, we got listen to Kurdish voices, except there's Kurdish voices that are saying, we're out of this one. We're staying out of this. PJAC statement on Iran-Israel war, a conflict of power interest, not a war of liberation. The Free Life Party of Kurdistan, PJAC, released an official statement declaring the ongoing war between the Islamic Republic of Iran and Israel is not a struggle for liberation, but rather a conflict rooted in the power struggles and competing interests of global forces. The party condemned both Israel's heavy strikes on Iran's military and command centers and the Islamic Republic's number of those Iranians to actually spark a real popular revolution. And the reason why, I mean, the proof is this. The proof is literally right here. If they had enough numbers and enough motion and enough momentum to actually spark a popular revolution in the country, America wouldn't be trying to game the fucking system this way. So the very fact that they're trying to game the system this way by first 4 months leading up to, even before the IRGC violently suppressed the protests that took place in Iran, they were fucking arming the Kurdish militias inside of Iran. That's just true. And Israel openly admits that, except, you know, oh, I guess I'm being an ethnic chauvinist. You know, I'm being a Turkish ultranationalist, right? They were doing that already for months. I saw reports of formation of Kurdish militias in Iraq getting ready, gearing up on the border. Even in the last 12-day war, Israel's been trying to do this since the last 12-day war. This has been their design. And the reason why they want to do it is because they don't have the real fucking popular base inside of the country. If they did, they wouldn't have to do this. They're going to bring in special forces alongside some, Kurdish brigades from Iraq, and they're going to try to fucking push your U.S. citizenship is at risk. Wait, why? What? No, it's I'm a American-born citizen, man. Shut the fuck up. Yeah, Kurdish language specialist with TSC, SCI clearance started going up last week across major defense contractors. I remember seeing reports of militias getting arms during the 12-day war as well. Then there was a drive-by assassination of the police chief by Kurdish militants during the mass uprisings that took place. Like, it's like, what more do you want to hear? Like, Israel is openly fucking saying it out loud, and you guys are still acting as though this is not the design here, you know? Kurdish forces in Iraq have launched a ground military offensive into Iran against the Islamic regime, an Iranian Kurdish official tells I-24 News. According to the official, thousands of Kurdish fighters began taking combat positions inside Iranian territory on Monday, March 2nd. I personally suspect that the reason why they're doing this, is because they want to throw as many bodies as possible, and they want to create discontent, anger, and frustration within the Kurdish population, because the IRGC is going to come back and then turn around and fucking start pummeling Kurdish Iranians, okay? Because they're not going to be able to control it. They're going to think, oh, every Kurdish Iranian is now an op. And that's the reason why this stuff leaked ahead of time. That's my suspicion. That's Matthew Petty's analysis as well. Everyone I know who's actually based in Iraqi Kurdistan is extremely skeptical about this planned Kurdish uprising in Iran. What I suspect is going to happen, and this is not based on any sources, is an attempt to put the Kurdish veneer on a U.S. special operation into Iran. I think that's what it is. I think they're going to bring in special forces units quietly alongside the Iraqi Kurds, okay? While simultaneously, they're going to be like, see, the Kurds are rising up. The Kurds are rising up. The Kurds are rising up. And it's military in a paranoid state where they take a heavy-handed approach to dealing with any sort of ethnic uprising amidst, like, ongoing bombing campaigns. And then when that happens, they film the entire process and they turn around and say, see, look how fucking ruthless these guys are. Now we're going to send in the American ground troops to protect the Kurdish and all of the other, like, Iranian population that hate the IRGC. They're going to welcome us as liberators. That's what I think is happening here. They're throwing bodies into the fucking meat grinder, and then it gives them enough time to potentially potentially bring actual ground units into the region. And then it justifies, like, even further intervention. The Kurds are going to get American and Israeli aerial support in the actions, as they've said, or at least they've demanded American and Israeli air cover. They want a no-fly zone over Kurdish territory, which is fucking crazy. They want to create a no-fly zone on Iranian territory.
Sources now telling CNN the CIA is working to arm and assist Kurdish forces. The goal, we are told, is to fuel a popular uprising against the regime inside.
Yeah, the Kurds will conquer Iran for America. We will have greater Kurdistan, and it will be a vibrant, pluralistic, cosmopolitan democracy, not a sectarian hellhole. Which, by the way, the closest achievement to that was Rojava. And look what happened to Rojava. The Turkish government is never going to fucking allow that. They are also going to eat a piece of Iran at that point if things completely collapse. Like I said, America's going to go in. America's going to go in and go, all right, Turks, get at it. It's fine. It's, you know, their money is your money. Go ahead. Go bomb the fucking Kurdish villages with artillery, with drones, with tanks. Roll over, create a fucking barrier between the Turkish border and the Iranian border. And take up some of this Iranian territory. It's all good by us. And then Israel's going to turn around and say, I don't like that. I don't want Turkey to do that, as a matter of fact. That's really fucking bullshit. You better back away. And then Israel and Turkey are going to fucking go into conflict. This is the next 5 years happening, unfolding in front of our eyes right now. And then we'll see if you know, the Zog is a theory or actually a fundamental plank of American foreign policy making. Because at that point, you're, you know, going into direct battle. Israel's going into direct battle with a fucking active NATO country, the second largest standing military in NATO. They say America doesn't have 5-year plans. America does not have 5-year plans. You know who has 5-year plans? Israel. But all of those plans are just haphazardly put together, and it's all death and destruction and all destabilization all the time.
Iran. CNN's chief international correspondent Clarissa Ward is joining us live from Erbil, Iraq right now. Clarissa, you've been in Iraq now for a few days. What can you tell us?
Well, that's right, Wolf. We are now learning from a senior official here in Iraqi Kurdistan that this CIA operation to support these Iranian Kurdish forces has been going on now for a few months. We spoke to a senior leader with the Iranian Kurdish militia groups yesterday who told us that they believe they are going to be participating in a ground offensive into Iran in the coming days, and that they are going to be doing it with the support of the U.S. and of Israel, though he would not say what exactly that support will look like.
They already have a long-standing, like, look, the American media already has like pre-written talking points for this kind of shit because they have utilized the Kurds in this way over and over again in the region, and you know, sold them on a lie, said that they were going to get autonomy, and then they fucked them over later down the line. And so they already have all the fucking articles. They're pre-written. Like, I've told you what the headlines are going to look like. Oh, the Peshmerga. Oh, the female, you know, fighting brigade. They're all so woke. They're wokely taking over Iran in favor, in service of Israel's ambitions of destabilizing Iran. Now, the problem here is, for at least America, Kurds are not fully on board with this. KRG official to CNN says CIA support for the Iranian Kurdish groups began a few months ago. It's very dangerous, but what can we do? We cannot stand against the U.S., which is wishy-washy, but they're basically trying to say, like, oh, we're small bean. We have to do that. The Kurds are woke in a conservative region. See, people are already doing it. People are already doing it. They're already doing it. All the fucking anarchists, State Department employees in my chat have already started. They've already started. They're woke. They got women. They got armed women, dude. They're woke. Why don't you like them? They're supposed to be communists, right? Well, because the last time I supported this shit, look what happened. You're I'm giving you the pre-talking points ahead of time. Like, I'm pre-cogging the talking points ahead of time, and people are already falling for it ahead of time before the American government does the propaganda. It's awesome. I like that. We're in a fucking time chamber where we just like are forced to repeat the same shit over and over again until basically the entire fucking region is nuked by Israel. You know, that's it. That's just only after that can we all be comfortable and never have to think about this ever again. Never have to talk about the same shit ever again. Yeah, are they gonna help Israel make the genocide woke? Yes. It's unbelievable how haphazardly put together this is and how they're basically fucking promoting it ahead of time, calling the shots ahead of time that they're gonna do this. And there are still dumb motherfuckers who are like, well, they're small bean, dude. They're small bean. They have to get funded by Israel and America. Because they're small bean.
He said that President Trump himself had actually called the leader of one of these Iranian Kurdish opposition groups. And as if in response to this reporting, Wolf, this morning, the Iranians hit one of those Iranian Kurdish militia bases with a missile. This is the first time we're seeing them use a missile. They've used drones to attack these bases in the last couple of days, but this was a missile. At least one Peshmerga.
Of course, famously, Turk bombs Kurdish villages, all monolith entities, PKK, PJAK, Dem Party, Kurds in government, majority Kurdish population, votes for AKP. I guess easy to make this case to Americans like this. Yeah, also, obviously, Kurds are not a fucking monolith anyway, and it's ridiculous. Even the Dem Party actually came out and spoke out against this as well. So, like, obviously, the Kurds in Turkey are I mean, you know, some of them might like this, some of them might not like this. I think Erdogan even like got Abdullah Öcalan to Apo to release a fucking statement being like, don't do this shit, don't do this shit. But I don't think Kurds are all of the same mindset here. It's just
the fighter.
Yeah, you got the Azeri Turks as well, potentially also maybe getting armed, but we don't know.
Was killed. And there is now very real fear here in Iraqi Kurdistan with the leadership that Iran could launch massive retaliatory strikes if this ground offensive goes ahead. The leader here who I spoke to said that the Iranians had warned Iraqi Kurdistan just a few days ago that if a single Iranian Kurdish fighter crosses that border, there will be hell to pay. He also said that one of the issues they have here in Iraqi Kurdistan, even though they have a very good relationship with the U.S., even though they have very little love for their neighbors in Iran, is that they feel the U.S. policy or the strategic objective.
I thought the Azeris were pretty thoroughly integrated into Iranian society. Well, Ali Khamenei is of Azeri descent. So yes, of course they're fucking pretty well integrated into Iranian society. Iranian Jews are pretty well integrated into Iranian society. Iranian Kurds are pretty well integrated into Iranian society by and large. The difference here, of course, is that you can still find elements within Iranian society that are invested in, you know, building an autonomous region or invested in fucking shit up, pissed off at the IRGC because the IRGC maybe arrested one of their friends. You know what I mean? Khamenei Meşte dili değil mi ya? Ben Azeri zannediyordum ama belki de değildir. Azeri Türk olması lazım değil mi? Yoksa herkes Türk diyorum amına koyayım. Vallahi adamlar doğru. Panturanist olduk vallahi. Khamenei yarı Türk. Evet. Tamam işte. Türk'ü çığırırız. Yeah. There's a massive Azeri population. There's a big Azeri population, Turkish population in Iran as well. Like it is a very diverse population, okay? And a very diverse population can be fine, right? A very diverse population can be fine. This is a joke, chatters. Are you kidding me? I texted this to Ryan and Jeremy. Don't use this on. He said the USA would have just as bad as under Harris. Please be better. He also supports terrorists. Brother, you're talking to Drop Site News. Anyway. Where the fuck were we? Let's continue.
This war keeps changing. This source told me one day President Trump says it's regime change. One day he says something completely different. And so they have a really strong concern that among this shifting policy, they could effectively end up getting thrown under the bus, so to speak. And it's important to remember, and I know it gets confusing, well, for our viewers, that there's a difference between the Iraqi Kurdish leadership here in Iraqi Kurdistan and the Iranian Kurdish forces who are being supported by the CIA with the goal of going into Iran and launching some kind of an offensive that they are hoping could foment stability and unrest. And the Iraqi...
The way that the Kurds could get thrown under the bus in this operation could literally be instantaneous. Okay? They could just as well accidentally fucking bomb Kurdish positions with Israeli munitions and American munitions and then turn around and go, oopsie, maybe it was the Iranians that did that. You know what I mean? The opportunities here are fucking endless. The goal here is destabilization because they don't have the popular base to actually create instability in the country, because there isn't like actual militancy that is armed and ready to go and angry to that degree with the government, or at least like has the foresight to recognize that if right now they went up against the state and like tried to overthrow it in bloody rebellion, even though they don't have the organizational tools beyond like what Mossad and the CIA has been doing inside of the fucking country, if they like beyond this AstroTurf CIA-backed, Mossad-backed movement, they don't really have a lot of like popular support. They don't have a popular base in the same way that they did during the Islamic Revolution initially. Okay, because while things are bad, it hasn't gotten to a degree where people are like, we need to build cells and we need to go up against the government and we need to do a popular revolution. This is precisely the reason why Israel is trying to develop a popular revolution. Okay? And it's not just my assessment. The Israeli media is openly fucking talking about it. The American media is openly talking about it. It's fucking crazy. Israel Hayom reports that U.S. and Israel are arming Kurds in the northwest, Baluchis in the southeast, another group that I talked about. Remember when I said Balochistan independence movement will also be utilized inside of Iran as well? And Sunni Arabs in the southwest in order to sow chaos in Iran. Oh my God. Oh my God. I fucking told you. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? Even before America and Israel started bombing Iran, I told you that they are going to beef up ethnic tensions to the best of their ability to collapse the fucking state. And now, after I fucking told you all this shit for the last couple of weeks, guess what? I told you all this shit for the past couple of weeks. Now people are going to get their talking points from the fucking news and then come in here and be like, well, I guess you don't care about the Balochistan independence movement. I guess you don't care about the Kurds. Classic Turkish nationalist. Ah! As a part of these contacts, American officials have been holding talks with Kurdish leaders in northern Iran and Iraq, with Baluchi militia leaders in southeastern Iran, and with additional opposition groups. According to reports, the goal is to prepare all these factions for the decisive day when, following the degradation of regime forces, chiefly the IRGC, the desired change will take place. The U.S. and Israel are seeking a full replacement of the regime, with the various groups expected to join what is anticipated to be an internal armed confrontation. I'm telling you right now, this plan is going to fuck up the entire world, okay? It's going to fuck up the entire region, and it's going to fuck up the entire world. I am offering my full and unconditional support to the Iranian government, at least in the fucking interim, to make sure that they keep the country intact. Because if this Israeli plan actually is followed through on, if this Israeli plan it comes to fruition, which it clearly is going to, because America is not going to stop Israel at all, okay? It is going to create a refugee crisis that you have not even comprehended, okay? This is an unforeseeable destabilization initiative for a country with 93 million fucking people in it. What the fuck? You are going to see tens of millions of people try to escape Iran in the conflict, in the fucking war that takes place. They're going to present it as a civil war, real popular uprisings happening all over the place simultaneously. Oh, it's not about regime change even. It's not even about like actually building a new design for Iranian society. Liberal Iranians who fucking hate the IRGC need to wake up to this reality. Your country is gone. Thousands of years of history and shared culture perishes overnight in the hands of the Amer-Israeli imperialist endeavors. How do you not see it? I can't believe that this has happened so many fucking times and people still go, oh, it'll be better. This time it'll be different. You told us Iran will be able to deter the U.S. by attacking their base in Israel. No, Iran already has. As far as state versus state conflict here, Iran is, in the past 5 days, Iran has basically shown every other great power in the world, every other regional power in the world, that America is a little bit of a paper tiger. America is not capable of defending its assets. America is not capable of defending its quote-unquote allies. The only ally America cares about is Israel, and even then they're not doing a great enough job defending Israel, even though they've deployed almost all of their fucking naval assets to defend Israel, okay? And all they can show for it is, oh, we struck down a couple fucking, a couple autonomous launchers, a couple drone strikes on fucking targets that were painted onto the goddamn ground, like helicopters painted onto the ground that the drones think are actual real helicopters. And they sunk like 3 naval assets of the Iranian Navy on the coastline of Sri Lanka, as though that's somehow accomplishing the fucking goals. What they want to do is stop the missiles from pummeling the Gulf region and pummeling Israel. And they haven't been able to achieve that in a successful manner. From conversations with people in Tehran, I sense that the patience with the strikes is wearing thin. There was initial excitement after Khamenei was killed and hope that the regime will fall quickly. Now people have not been able to sleep for several nights, and the fatigue of war is setting in. They're also shocked by the scale of the destruction. Most government buildings are in ruin. They also fear about the unknown future. One person told me that the courthouse where they had filed a personal lawsuit had been blown. Several people who had planned to stay are now considering leaving the city. Iran is such a fucking beautiful country, dude. It is unbearable to watch this much culture, this much history get fucking destroyed with vulgar American and Israeli weapons. We have no care or consideration for the world. We are such a malign, malignant, cancerous force on this fucking planet. God damn it, dude. It is disgusting. These are real human beings whose lives we're fucking destroying, so that Israel can feel safe doing the greater Israeli project without any sort of regional pushback whatsoever. It blows my fucking mind. But as far as like a real blow that Iran has been able to deal to American empire, it basically showed China that, like, let me tell you something, okay? If China wants to right now, they could go and fucking take over the Philippines. Straight up. They could take over South Korea. They could take over the fucking Philippines. Any kind of like regional proxy war that America engages with China is over. It's a fucking wrap. I'm not saying that they have this kind of imperialist ambition regardless, but basically, if you understand anything from what has taken place, it is America's inability to defend its own radar installations, America's inability to defend its own supposedly quote-unquote ally nations. They're literally taking THAAD missile defense systems away from South Korea right now and trying to hastily ship them to the motherfucking Gulf. Not even the Gulf necessarily, to Israel, because they can't stop the Iranian missiles from penetrating the fucking Israeli defenses. There's obviously an escalation ladder here where the last step of the equation is nukes. Either we de-escalate or they escalate it to the maximum degree. It's unbearable. All right, give me a fucking link for Trump Live. I'll tune into the disgusting pedophile president gleefully talking about destroying an entire fucking country.
Get a big piece of that, and will also make life wonderful for the people of Venezuela who have been very, very badly hit. So that's a lot said in a short period of time, but you can witness it for yourself. And now we'll get on to something that I'm very proud of, because it was sort of my idea, like
very much so.
Build your own power plant. And everybody thought I was kidding. They said, really, you can do that? How would you do that? I said, we'll get you fast permits, and you'll build your own plants, but we're going to discuss it in great detail with the biggest people in the industry and some of our great leaders and senators. And congratulations on the Medal of Honor for your 100-year soldier. 100 years old, 101 to be exact. And Daryl's been fighting that he get the Congressional Medal of Honor for many years, Daryl, right?
Mr. President, I give you all the credit for overcoming
We're ruled by pedophilic
the
monsters.
lawyers in the Department of the Navy in a way that I thought was amazing.
Yeah.
And nobody could have done it but you.
Maybe it'll be a long. We had to get it to him a little bit quickly, but he looks like he's in good shape. He's got some years left, right?
He's planning to come back here for your next Medal of Honor ceremony. And, he's also going to be the star at Tailhook this summer if you want to come to Reno.
Well, I congratulate you for that success. That was amazing. He didn't stop. I've known him a long time. He never stops. So congratulations. It's very nice. We're here this afternoon for a historic signing that will help keep down utility bills very, very substantially, and electricity prices for millions of Americans, and in many cases for a lot of people that don't really understand why they're going up, but they're not going to be going up. They're going to be actually going down. Today, we follow through on an announcement I made in my State of the Union address last week as America's largest tech companies officially signed the Ratepayer Protection Pledge. It's a big deal. Going to have a tremendous impact on electricity costs. We're bringing down all of the costs. We're having this little interlude to do what we have to do because we had it going, but these interludes are very important, especially this one. But the economy has never been like this. We broke 50,000 on the Dow. People thought we wouldn't do that within the first 4 years. We did it in the first year. And we brought 7 on the S&P, 7,000 on the S&P. They said that's even less likely to happen. And we did that too, all within the first year. Under this new agreement, big tech companies are committing to fully cover the costs of increased electricity production required for AI data centers. And that would be prices for American communities will not go up, but in many cases will actually come down and very substantially. Because, you know, the data centers, and you people are so big, you're the biggest in the world, but they've developed a little bit of a bad public, they need some PR help, because people think that if a data center goes in, their electricity prices are going to go up, and that's not happening.
The data centers, people don't like them.
For the areas where it did happen, it won't happen anymore, because they never had this alternative. It's actually going to mean the prices come down. You're going to see how badly they want. Some centers were rejected by communities for that, and now I think it's going to be just the opposite. This means that the tech companies and the data centers will be able to get the electricity they need, all without driving up electricity costs for consumers. This is a historic win for countless American families, and will also make our electricity grid stronger and more resilient than ever before, so that's part of it. It's going to be strengthened up. And they're going to be getting a lot of excess electricity from the data centers where they build their own plants. They're going to be creating their own electricity. We're pleased to be joined today by Speaker Mike Johnson, who's got a difficult job, but he does it as easy as anybody I've ever seen do that job. It's never easy when you have a majority of 2, or sometimes less. Yeah, I was going to say, sometimes less. But he's amazing. And Energy Secretary Chris Wright, who's worked so hard, and Senators Katie Britt, Bernie Moreno.
Do you think Peter Thiel's behind this greatest country practice? Because he's behind a lot of terrible things. Hella connection to Trump. No, this is Israel's design, dude. There is no...
Thank you both. And Derek, thank you. Nice to see you.
This is... What the fuck is this?
OSTP Director Michael Kratzios.
Why are you sending this to me?
AI and crypto czar
This is what he said in the beginning? Here, let's see what he fucking said in the beginning. President Trump just now on Iran. If we didn't hit it within 2 weeks, they would have had a nuclear weapon. Oh, my God. No one even believes it. Not only does no one believe it, but also their heart's not even in it. Their heart's not even fucking in it. They just don't care. They don't care. What is this? This is a huge story I've barely seen covered. Everyone talking about economic damage via energy is deterrent, but holy shit, tech is expensive. Tens of billions of dollars. They spent $500 billion building a plan to keep chips away from China. Nobody spent $1 on a plan to keep missiles away from the chips. What? I don't know what that is. It's a fun soundboard thing. Come on, man. The world is fucking collapsing right now. Let me lock the fuck in real quick, okay? Let me log in real quick. We got so much shit going on. A federal government contractor for the defense, for the Department of War at Dover Air Force Base, DE, has posted to Indeed.com seeking multiple part-time on-call personnel effects specialists. The position will support, receive, safeguard, inventory, store, process, and make final disposition of personal effects of military and civilian casualties from overseas. This position appeared on site within the last 7 days. What the fuck? They didn't have this already? They needed it. Dude, the number of casualties is far greater. Not for active duty personnel and like reservists. You can't really hide those deaths. But defense contractors. America, war has changed quite a bit. Even from the global war on terror era. Okay, it's changed quite a bit. Right now, America utilizes defense contractors quite a bit. There's also forces there that are in the CIA, you know what I mean? Like they're on the State Department side, and when they die, you won't hear about it. And I think they're probably melting a lot of defense contractors without, and you don't get to hear about it at all. Instead of like active duty reservists, because the active duty reservist protocol for informing like next of kin is intact. I don't think they can, as far as I understand, I don't think they can hide those as well or as easily. I'm sure if there's like a special circumstance, if there's like an entire like naval asset that burned or something, they can try and hide it to the best of their ability in order to withstand the PR shock that will come as a consequence of that. But they can and do with regular frequency hide the total number of casualties and the total number of deaths when it comes down to contractors that they deploy in the region. So if there's like a lot of these at these bases, if you have, I mean, there are chatters in here who might even literally be at the bases right now. There are chatters in here who, well, you probably can't watch right now if you're literally in the Gulf. I suspect that they don't let you watch or use your phone any longer. I think I saw the CENTCOM notification that said don't use your apps at all. But if you've ever been stationed in one of these bases, you can tell me if that's the case or not. But I'm pretty sure. I suspect that like some of the guys that they're some of the people that may or may not have been killed is they're if they're defense contractors, like we will not hear about it. U.S. contractors in Kuwait decry meager bunkers and pay cuts amid Iran war were treated as expendable. Employees say they've heard little from major defense contractor V2X Inc. about safety and evacuation protocols. Yeah, they are expendable. Why doesn't China use a crackdown on Taiwan out of American influence? I don't want to get into China right now.
All humanity.
The American people deserve to know what's going on, what kind of conduct their government is doing, how their government is abusing their money, their tax money, their image in the Middle East, in the Islamic world, just in furtherance of the whims of Benjamin Netanyahu. Yeah. I don't think these guys understand. I can watch it from Saudi Arabia, but I live and work here, not military. Yeah, no, I'm saying if you're a military, if you're in the military right now, if you're active duty and you're in the Gulf, they don't want you to use, I saw the CENTCOM notification. They don't want you to use, a lot of phone applications because they suspect that either China or Iran is using that for targeting. And that's the reason why they have these drone strikes that take place on civilian properties like hotels and apartment complexes where like, why the fuck are they hitting these hotels? Why the fuck are they hitting these apartment complexes? It's because there's assets. And CENTCOM thinks that the way that they're finding the strike targets is the phone applications that people are using. Yeah, it's the same as don't smoke at night back in the day. Yeah, pretty much. What is this? Eyes on Azerbaijan and Armenia. Azerbaijan has become an eager proxy to Trump and Netanyahu axis. That's true. The role remind us what the stake of the U.S.-Israeli war in Iran are. Always and already regional with lethal consequences for Armenians too. Oh, yeah. I got a buddy who works as a defense contractor who was offered $170K to go to Cyprus by the end of the month, not including per diem. Anyway, my cousin's boyfriend was stationed in London past 2 years. On the 25th, they deployed him to an unknown location, told him to stop using apps. My cousin talked to him on Friday the 27th, but hasn't since. He's an engineer, and she thinks he's in Israel or somewhere with a desert climate because he sent her a Snapchat, but hasn't been on since. He sent a fucking Snapchat? God, the American military is so fucking stupid. I'm sorry. Same with the Israeli military. We're so comfortable. We here in the Western world, in the heart of empire, are so used to our fucking treats. We have no OPSEC. We have no OPSEC whatsoever. That's why all the fucking Israeli occupational forces, the neo-Nazis, were like filming themselves doing war crimes over and over again because they were like, oh, this is great. This will look so good on my social media. Yes, I love Israel. I love doing war crimes against Hamas. No fucking OPSEC whatsoever. Anyway, I'm all over the place right now. I talked about my suspicions of like defense contractors possibly getting smoked with some of these drone strikes. I assume that is like a real point of concern. But yeah, I think the numbers are probably a lot higher when you calculate the total number of casualties. When you look at the actual defense contractors have probably also been killed.
It's not. And here's the other thing. You'll have your approvals within 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah, this motherfucker's still talking about all this other shit like energy deals and whatnot. But we are going to get back to Iran. What the goals are. What the ambition is, who we're doing this for, and what the clandestine operations are on the ground. As I showed you, Israel itself has openly revealed that their goal here is to create as much chaos as possible against the Revolutionary Guards and utilize the existing ethnic tensions to foment like some kind of to basically create chaos in the country, right? If you get the IRGC's ground units to move around, because on the one hand, you got to squash a rebellion that's taking place over there with like the Balochistan separatist movement. On the other hand, you got to, go to like the Kurdish ethnic enclaves and stamp out protests and discontent and like actual fucking, it's not even like a protest at that point. It's just like straight up warfare. Especially when these guys are gearing up, tuning up the IRGC to react with, to react against what these guys are doing is objectively terrorism at that point, right? In that predicament, you have the military's existing units spread out to the best of your ability, and it makes it, I guess, easier for American troops to eventually come in if they were to do like a landing operation, which again, very limited options as far as where they could invade Iran from, with where they can create like a supply line, because Iran, as I've shown you before, if you look at a fucking topographical map, is surrounded basically 3 parts by mountains. Okay. So they're going to try to divide the IRGC. They're going to try to divide the forces if there is actually additional boots on the ground participation from American units. Let me tell you who's not going to be on there. Let me tell you what boots are not going to touch Iranian soil. Israeli boots. Just so we're clear. It will be American boots. It'll be your neighbors that go and fight and die in the Iranian mountainside for Israel. It will not be Israeli boots that touch the soil. Make no fucking mistake. Okay? Israel, small country. Israel, too small. Israel, tiny nation, size of New Jersey. No politic here. No politic, I say. You know? A coalition of the willing. But that's what this is. That's what's going on. That's what they're gearing up for. You know, it's pretty crazy how open the American media is in their coverage so far as well. Like, hey, Kurds, sorry, we just handed you over to the Syrian government after years of successful cooperation. Would you like to repeat the same thing in Iran, but faster? One person familiar with the discussion, this is on CNN. One person familiar with the discussion said that the idea would be for Kurdish armed forces to take on Iranian security forces and pin them down to make it easier for unarmed Iranians in major cities to turn out without getting massacred again, as they were during the unrest in January. Another U.S. official said the Kurds could help sow chaos in the region and stretch the Iranian regime's military resources thin. When I say it, people go, Hasan, you're an ethnic supremacist. You're a Turk. Of course you hate the Kurds. But CNN is literally writing verbatim what the design is here. Okay? It's very clear. And to the Iranians that are, you know, to the Iranians in the diaspora who want to make sense of this, or maybe they want to hear from an opposing perspective, and they're getting really mad at me, and they think, Hasan, you don't understand. Like, we love Israeli bombs or whatever. I want my grandparents to die because as long as, like, we can have a free and liberal Iran, I need you to understand, you are not going to have a free and liberal Iran. You are just not going to have an Iran at all, okay? You are not different, okay? You are not different than the Iraqis. You are not different than the Libyans. You are not different than the Afghan population. I know you think you are. It's a very well-educated populace, okay? I know you think that you can overcome this. You can't. Because at the end of the day, when a fucking American bomb is flying overhead, it's going to destroy your home. It's going to kill you. It's going to kill your children. It's going to kill your neighbors. Okay? It doesn't matter how big-brained you are. It doesn't matter how invested in liberalism you are. America and Israel's designs for your country is not that. Okay? So if you have any suspicion in your heart that America and Israel actually want to liberalize Iran and create a liberal secular democracy in Iran, drop it now, okay? They are not invested in this at all. And I know it feels crazy for a guy living in the imperial core, living in the United States of America. Oh, classic commie. He just loves the IRGC. I don't give a fuck about the IRGC, okay? I don't give a fuck about the Ayatollah. I don't give a fuck about the IRGC. I mean, I think that they have put on a strong opposition against Israel in the region, and that's great, but that's totally separate from their domestic repression, okay? But I need you to understand, this is not about that. Your last opportunity to maintain a sovereign Iranian state is now in the hands of people that you have opposed, people that have jailed your family members, people that have tortured your family members. Your last shot at maintaining a sovereign state is now in the hands of the very same people that you fucking despise. Okay? That's it. I know it sounds insane. I know it sounds crazy, and you might think, oh, you're saying all of this because like you're fucking, pro-Ayatollah or whatever. This is your best worst case scenario, okay? There are only bad options here, bad ranging from catastrophic, like thermonuclear warfare options, which would be the maximum worst option, okay? We go up the escalation ladder to the nuclear, like a tactical nuke being deployed. You know, that's obviously the worst option because it will destroy the entire planet. But the least bad out of all the catastrophic options you have out of all the realistic ones at least, is that the Iranian government maintains its integrity, stays intact for a long enough time that the attrition kicks in. It becomes too costly for America, and Donald Trump cuts out the Israelis from the negotiation, and he tries to do like a Maduro thing with whoever the fuck is in charge still. Okay? He tries to do a Delcy Rodriguez with like Ali Larjani or someone like that, and they're like, okay, we're pulling out. The energy markets have imploded, and all of my fucking capitalist friends are giving me phone calls every single day telling me to cut the shit out. And obviously the opposition internally is going to come from the ultra-Zionists, the Lindsey Grahams of the world, the pro-Israel Dick Riders of the world. But the competing forces there are, how much can Donald Trump molest the money? How much can American empire's integrity take a hit, take a massive fucking blow, and eventually which side caves to the pressure? If it's the Iranian side that fucking falls apart, if it's the IRGC that falls apart, you are not going to get a secular liberal democracy out of that equation. You are not even going to have a fucking country to return to. Okay? You're going to have a country that you desperately try to escape, and you are going to have, given the 90 million Iranians that live there of all different ethnic backgrounds, you are never going to be able to see your home again. You're never going to be able to cherish your culture again. You are going to have nothing. All of it will be reduced to rubble. You will have a balkanized state that is constantly waging war with one another, and it will turn into Libya. Okay? It's so crazy because we have seen it happen over and over again. And yet people still think this time it'll be fucking different. Technically not true if Mossad is boots. No, Mossad is not going to have boots on the ground. They'll have people that are Iranian that they work with. They'll have their assets, but they're not going to fucking send. They're not going to send Israeli sons and daughters into Iran, okay? Get the fuck out of here. They never have. Why the fuck would they do it this time? It'll be different because Iranians actually want and ask for the USA to help. Not same for Libya and Iraq, so that's the big difference now. No, you don't know anything. Kurds W, USA W, Turks crying in the corner. Oh my God, you don't know anything. No, of course there were coalitions in Iraq that were also asking and demanding for intervention. What the fuck are you talking about? You're wrong. You just don't know anything about the history. You can only arrive at this position if you are utterly oblivious to the history of American empire in this fucking region. Jesus Christ. In the eyes of Israel, you are no different than a Palestinian, okay? They do not give a fuck about you. You are literally the same as Palestinians. The same as the Lebanese population living in southern Lebanon that has to fucking now move again because, Israel has decided we're going to go in and we're going to take more Lebanese territory. I don't know why you can't understand this. America doesn't even give a fuck about its own service members. America doesn't even give a fuck about its own citizens living in the United States of America, its own taxpayers. And you're over here thinking, oh, but they give a fuck about me. You're stupid. Anyway, this plan includes no political guarantees for Kurds in Iran and no plan to keep Iran and Turkey from at least economically suffocating, at most militarily carving up Iraqi Kurdistan in response. Doesn't make sense for them to go along with it. But seemingly there's enough movement that they can claim that the Kurds are totally on board with this to once again make it seem like there is enough movement here. There's also this other side. Israel Hayom, another ethnic group waging sustained insurgencies, the Baluchis, a Sunni minority straddling the territories of Iran, Pakistan, and Afghanistan, who seek self-determination and autonomy. The IRGC has in recent years conducted an unprecedented crackdown on the Baluchi minority. The central active organization on the Iranian side is Jaish al-Adl, which in December 2025 merged with the additional groups into the Popular Fighters Front and declared a broad struggle against the regime. The third ethnic minority in Iran with a history of armed resistance to the government is Arabs of the southern Khuzestan province, predominantly Shia Arabs whose population numbers more than 1.5 million. In 2022, large protests against Tehran's rule took place in the province, and clashes between Arab separatists and regime forces resulted in several deaths. Dilawar Karwan says U.S. ground strategy is to foment Kurdish rebellion fielded by SDF veterans displaced from Syria and likely led by American commandos, all covered by U.S.-Israeli air power. Very worrying. IRGC would have to respond very hard to totally crush the rebellion. Straight out of the Iraq playbook, the formation of a no-fly zone over Kurdistan and Iraq was a key piece in the overthrow of the Ba'athist government. The Iranian Kurdish coalition, this is Ambed Zaman, who writes for Al Monitor and The Economist. The Iranian Kurdish coalition is asking the United States to establish a no-fly zone over the Kurdish areas to provide air cover for potential future operations and, above all, to prove its commitment. And America will gladly offer that, by the way. Okay, Hasan, you absolutely have to stop ignoring the populations that speak from their perspectives. You have to listen. Yeah, you have to listen to idiot voices in idiot spaces. We have to give them space to spew bullshit. That's what equality is all about. Yeah, you have to listen to MAGA voices. Excuse me, why are you not centering MAGA voices in this conversation? Excuse me, why are you not centering Israeli voices in this conversation? I don't know, because I don't give a shit. Because I'm looking at action and reaction. I'm looking at the results. I'm looking at what the intention is. And I know what the intention is. It's complete death and destruction for possibly hundreds of thousands of Iranians and tens of millions of Iranians displaced, never to be able to return to a place that they call home. That's what has happened over and over again, and that's what will inevitably happen here. How the fuck do we not see the same exact story, the same exact song and dance, sometimes the same exact fucking actors, and there are still people going, I don't know, maybe this time it's different. No, the fuck it's not. The biggest problem from the American side here, is straight up the fact that they just don't have an ISIS equivalent inside of Iran, because Iran has been very successful in eviscerating ISIS. Okay? If they had an ISIS equivalent inside of Iran, it would be over. It'd be over in a fucking heartbeat. But they will. There will be an ISIS equivalent inside of Iran eventually. Sometime, maybe literally ISIS. You never know. ISIS-I, they might call it. Hasan, is it true that the Islamic Republic has completely cut off the internet communication path so people don't get pre-attack warnings? So many people I follow are posting this on their Insta story. It's saying that the Islamic Republic is trying to kill and harm Iran. Sounds like propaganda to me. I don't know. I mean, I don't think the internet is actually fully cut out in Iran at all, but maybe. Yeah, the I in ISIS actually doesn't stand for Islamic State, Israeli State.
Will be able to.
Yeah, this is the guy, this is the guy commanding the fucking forces, by the way. This is the attitude that he has. And a lot of dumb fucks still think that this is not, a lot of dumb fucks still think this is going to be positive for the Iranians, dude. Holy shit.
To do nothing about it. B-2s, B-52s, B-1s, Predator drones, fighters, controlling the skies, picking targets. Death and destruction from the sky all day long. We're playing for keeps. Our warfighters.
It's like epic Fortnite Chungus is what they're doing, while simultaneously they're like, it's anti-woke. We're actually invading Iran anti-woke style. It turns out the Ayatollah was woke, and we're destroying it. We're doing war, but this time we're war fighting in an anti-woke manner. All the previous reasons why we failed, quote unquote failed, obviously it was for, our capitalists didn't fail. It was fantastic for them, but we technically failed our objectives of like regime change or creating a stable, liberalized region, a secular republic or whatever the fuck. They've always failed over and over again because that wasn't the real ambition at all. But this time it's different. This time we're casting aside all of the woke neocon liberalization attitudes. We're playing for keeps. We're going to fucking destroy the country. Heck yeah.
Have maximum authorities granted personally by the president and yours.
I'm going to give you.
The fuck is this? Hegze's presser makes clear he thinks Trump will win this simply by being anti-woke and prosecuting the war. They really believe in the magical power of anti-woke. Yeah. Yeah, our real war fighters, their dicks are hard. Our war fighters with their hard dicks are going to come in with their cocks locked and loaded, and they're going to fuck the ground. They're going to do it. Hell yeah. We're going to rape and pillage. Hoorah. Real war fighters are in charge, everybody. Let's fucking go. Anti-woke style. Anyway, as far as the talks or what's going on, there's also some suspicion that Trump might not be listening to Daddy all too much because he's obviously looking for a fucking exit ramp. CNN openly abides by Israeli military censorship. Oh my God, CNN accidentally confessed live on TV that a massive censorship Israel's doing damage in optics control. We're not showing you that because the Israeli government doesn't allow us to show where that may have come from.
We're not showing you that because we're not going to show, the Israeli government does not allow us or want us to show where that may have come up, that interceptor. But I'm not going to go up there.
Yeah. It's because their interceptors are fucking in civilian areas, obviously. That's the reason. But yeah, of course CNN abides by Israeli censors. What are you talking about? Anyone that covers news inside of Israel literally is telling you what the Israeli government is allowing you to see. I hope you understand that. These countries have complete these countries try to have complete narrative control in a heavily populated and densely populated area to the best of their fucking ability. And they do this all the time. In the first couple of days, if you recall, I showed you some of the impact sites. They had Israeli reporters on the ground doing English coverage because in the first couple of days, they wanted to garner sympathy. When they realized that they couldn't garner any sympathy whatsoever because everyone was like, we know you're a genocidal nation that's bloodthirsty and is trying to do the same thing you did to Gaza to Iran this time, says you. They went, okay, we shouldn't be showing the impact sites at all. We should actually hide it because it only makes it seem like Iran is actually reaching its targets. And it only shows the Iranian side that they're actually successfully striking the heart of fucking Tel Aviv or the heart of Jerusalem. Saudi former intel chief is saying Israel is why the U.S. is doing this. Yeah, everyone is saying Israel's doing this because, of course, that's it. That's the truth. It's hard to fucking look at this as anything but the truth. As you guys know, I have said over and over again that I am the number one guy for the American asset in the region, the aircraft theory. Okay, but this is an instance where it 100% is Israel's ambitions. That's it. We are following along Israel's ambitions, and we're expending billions of fucking dollars worth of assets in an effort to go along with what fucking Israel wants here.
Well, I am surprised at the president's surprise. Respectfully, I would recall that the Crown Prince and other Gulf leaders have been urging America not to undertake military action against Iran because all of us believe that that action will not remain confined to Iran, that Iran will retaliate against American presence in the area, which is present in all of the Gulf states, and as far away as Turkey, apparently. So if he was surprised, I don't think Saudi or other Gulf leaders were surprised. They've been warning.
I'm going to come.
Oh, what the fuck? I accidentally hit that button. That's crazy. I can't believe it. That's sorry. My keyboard actually clicked on the soundboard for a second. I was like, where the fuck did that come from? It shocked me. Yeah, here's the Financial Times. Israel expects weeks-long war against Iran. Summarizing the Israeli government's position, Sitrinovich said, if we can have a coup, great. If we can have people on the streets, great. If we can have a civil war, great. Israel couldn't care less about the future or the stability of Iran. That is a point of difference between the U.S. That's the point of difference between us and the U.S. Oh my God, they're just saying it out loud. They're dabbing on us. They're fucking dabbing on us. They're dabbing on us. You want to know why? Because we're fucking cattle, okay? Wake the fuck up. We are literally cattle. We are cattle. We are a nation of cattle, okay? It's literally like they're writing it in the Financial Times. They're saying it out loud. They're openly saying over and over again, what are you going to fucking do about it? It doesn't matter. Because guess what? A big chunk of people are going to hear Donald Trump go, this is a good thing. And they're going to say, this is a good thing. A big chunk of liberals are too predisposed with like how much they fucking hate Donald Trump, but they haven't figured out what's going on in front of their eyes. And 90% of Americans don't give a fuck about what happens to the Iranians. Okay? That's it. Because they think, oh, it's happening over there. We've done it so many times over, and we've been sheltered from the impact over and over again. So it doesn't fucking matter. We're a nation of fat treatlerites who don't give a fuck about anything, and America and Israel takes advantage of that over and over again. Holy fuck. That's a point of difference between us and the U.S., I think. Washington is more concerned about nation building and threats to their regional partners, he added. On Tuesday, an Israeli airstrike tore through a building in the Iranian holy city of Qom. The target was the gathering place for the Assembly of Experts, the 88-person clerical body meant to choose Iran's next supreme leader after Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed at the weekend. It remains unclear whether Israel believed the body was meeting at the time, but an Israeli military official said afterwards that the goal was to stop Iran from choosing a new supreme leader. We want to ensure Iran stays in disarray, they said. It's mind-melting how clear the divergence of Israeli interests and everyone else's interests are here. And they have no reason to hide. I watched Lavrov today after I saw snippets of Hegseth's speech, and I must say, regarding Iran, Lavrov sounded fairly reasonable to me. Of course, it's in his interest if U.S. was restrained by international law, but nevertheless, Russia right now sounds more reasonable than the U.S. and Israel, saying this as a Euroid. Yeah, that doesn't mean anything because, again, we're cattle, and you're also cucked cattle because your leadership, just like our leadership, do not give a fuck. They will allow Israel to do whatever the fuck they want, and they'll sit there, and they'll try to sell it to you. And maybe some will believe it. Okay, maybe some will believe it. Some will go, you know, it sounds good to me. It sounds reasonable to me. You know, Kurdish autonomy. I care about that. They're woke, I think. Right? Here's Donald Trump, by the way. Remember when I told you yesterday that Donald Trump was going to fuck up Marco Rubio's response because he's like the worst guy to have on board?
Years they've been killing our people and killing people from all over the world, and I think we have great support, and I think if we didn't do it first, they would have done it to Israel and give us a shot if that was possible. Years they've been killing our people and killing.
Ruined it. Marco Rubio comes out yesterday and he's like, no. I was wrong when I said it was Israel's war that we're fighting for Israel. I was just like, oh, that's not correct. Looks like the Kurds are in. Yes, I already mentioned this. Yes, Kurdish forces in Iraq have launched a ground military offensive against Iran. Last month, Israel Hayom reported that the IDF is too scared and morale too low to fight Iran. U.S. casualties is obviously preferred. Israel Hayom, the existential threat beyond Iran, the IDF's growing career officer crisis, severe burnout prompting waves of resignations among majors and lieutenant colonels, a dramatic drop in the number of candidates competing for each senior command position. It has become a direct and acute threat to the national security of the state of Israel. The shortage stems from a mass departure trend that began even before the war and has since intensified. We need anyone, dude. Like, please, someone needs to fucking put a stop to this. It's insane. It's insane. Like, these guys are killing and slaughtering babies at such an alarming rate that they are experiencing fatigue from the baby slaughter, so much so that they're like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. But there's always more room in the region for a new group of individuals to take up arms at the behest of Israel and at the behest of American empire. It blows my fucking mind. How can no one just like turn around and try to stop this? It's fucking insane. Well, I guess there's one group that was actually trying to stop it. And for the last 2.5 years, America and Israel have melted every single person involved in said group and is now going to cut the head of the fucking snake. It's crazy. They're just fucking Nazis, man. They're Nazis. I don't know what else to say. They're just Nazis. And America is Nazis too. Oh. There has been a disproportionate number of casualties among commanders who led from the front shouting, "Follow me," as they charged at the head of their troops, many of them no longer fit for duty, further deepening the manpower gap. Well, it's great. There's already a fucking, a million strong, ready to fucking mobilize units. From Iowa, from Ohio, from Wisconsin, you know? They'll go out and fight Israel's battles for them when their military experience is fucking fatigue, genocide fatigue, fatigue from all the baby murder that they've contributed to. Great. Yeah, it's great that we launched a regional war based on a feeling, which is also bullshit. It's not even real. This is just like they're not even doing a good enough job of selling this shit. That's what's so fucking frustrating too. They're not doing a good enough job selling this shit. Their messaging is so inconsistent, and it is becoming increasingly clear to me that it doesn't even matter. They don't even need messaging discipline here, and the American Cattle Brigade will come into my fucking chat and justify it regardless because a bad guy died.
The United States was going to strike our assets in the region, and he made a determination to launch Operation Epic Fury based on all of those reasons. And the president had a...
Kegsbreath also called it Israel's war. Oh, fantastic, fantastic.
To our steadfast partner, Israel, your mission is being executed with unmatched skill and iron determination. Fighting shoulder to shoulder with such a capable ally is a true force multiplier and a breath of fresh air. We salute your courage and your contribution.
Also, I don't love this new way of posting, like coming from CENTCOM. More fake news from the Iranian regime. Like they have a soy millennial handling the fucking comms for the U.S. Central Command. Actually, the regime claims U.S. forces are withdrawing. They sank a U.S. destroyer. IRGC claims to have taken down a U.S. fighter aircraft. The regime says they killed 100 U.S. Marines. All lies. Reality check. U.S. forces are expanding strikes deeper into Iranian airspace by the hour. U.S. forces sank 20-plus Iranian regime vessels while overwhelming firepower from air, land, and sea. Over a 4-day period, U.S. forces have reduced Iranian regime drone launches by 73% and ballistic missile launches by 86%. U.S. military power projection capability is unmatched. All facts. Now that the U.S. CENTCOM has come out with this statement, let me explain what is actually going on. America and Israel have basically unlimited power when it comes to their offensive capability and certainly a finite amount of resources when it comes to their defensive capability. Okay? So their goal here has been trying to eradicate the silos to the best of their ability or just close off the openings that they can find in these fucking caves on the mountainous region of Iran, okay, where the missile silos come out. They have single-use TELs that they deploy these missiles from, and America's job is to try to blow them up to the best of their ability. Problem is, even if you have air superiority, it doesn't matter. They're very clearly not capable of completely destroying Iran's missile launching capabilities. Okay? It's objectively untrue to say that they have been able to successfully destroy Iran's or completely diminish Iran's drone striking and drone targeting capabilities or their missile launching capabilities. This is before we even talk about people being able to dig out of these openings and then bring out their fucking missiles once more and use more single-use launchers. Okay? And if they were capable of doing this, one, we would see less strikes in general. Okay? You would see like a total a diminishing number of strikes successfully targeting the Gulf region. They have actually reduced the number of strikes. This is true. But they would not be talking about how they're sinking Iranian vessels off the coast of fucking Sri Lanka as a major W. Okay? Iranian assets parked off the coastline of Sri Lanka are not presenting an immediate threat to American naval assets at all. If you're sending submarines to the coastline of Sri Lanka to go and blow up Iranian boats over there or blow up boats that are parked on the fucking coastline, that we're not going to be... Hasan is, I just mad. The left is losing everywhere in the world and showing how stupid they are. Lamau? What? Okay, confusing. I just mad. Okay, chatter, don't be mad. Anyway, let's continue. Like, spectacular victory for the Amerifat empire that doesn't even benefit the Amerifats over here in, the Amerifat continent, for the record. But that's besides the point. You're cattle, okay? You're cattle. So it doesn't matter. You will never understand how these designs in the region are not beneficial for you at all, okay? But that's a totally separate point that I'm not even going to get into. But as far as like American power projection here, this last week has diminished American force projection capabilities in ways that I never would have foreseen. America had to withdraw from all of its Gulf assets. They took a fucking beating from Shahed drones and ballistic missiles in every single Gulf country where there are U.S. military bases. Okay? That's a spectacular failure. America is the mightiest empire that has ever existed. And this is the clearest indication we have ever gotten that we, Americans, the American empire, is spread far too thin. Okay? It's too vast, and we do not have the procurement strategies and the missile creation strategies. We don't have the industrial output to be able to keep up with even a fucking country like Iran. There's too much contractor bloat in the defense side. We are very clearly on the back foot. Okay? It's very clear to anyone who can just like pull themselves out of the immediate like, oh, we're fucking destroying Iran, dude. Shut the fuck up. We're deploying Moabs on Tehran. We're carpet bombing Tehran. Okay, yes, of course America has the capability of carpet bombing Tehran. They could also literally fucking nuke Tehran as well. That doesn't mean that there is a victory there, okay? Even from a force projection perspective. What this has shown every other great power in the world, every other regional power in the world, is that America doesn't actually have the capabilities of defending its assets. American security cooperation just basically turns you into a fucking missile sponge. And on top of that, America can't even protect its own fucking troops. If Russia showed that it was a fucking paper tiger in Ukraine, America has shown that it's a paper tiger against a nation as ascetic and as poor as fucking Iran. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, if we're having this hard of a time defending Gulf security partners while simultaneously defending Israel, the most important country on the planet in the eyes of the American state, okay, what makes you think America is capable of defending South Korea or the Philippines if China was like, yeah, I'm taking this shit, fuck it? If China engaged, if China had the smoke in the same way that Russia did as far as like waging proxy wars with the American state, over irredentist actions in its region, how the fuck do we fight back against China? China has a massive technological gap between Iran and China. China has a manufacturing gap between Iran and China. And American manufacturing versus Iranian manufacturing, the low-cost Iranian manufacturing in terms of missile defense is clearly enough to strike a devastating blow to American capabilities in defense. It blows my fucking mind. Anyone that looks at this and goes, oh, dude, China is so scared right now, does not understand. They're deluding themselves into thinking that America is still this like mighty fucking country. It's mind-boggling. This is fantastic for Russia. It's fantastic for China. If you have any interest in national security and if you genuinely think that these countries would like destroy us and destroy the United States of America and don't want to just simply be regional powers, okay, that can have a better cooperative future with the United States of America. But if they like truly had the ambition to destroy America, why is China could just fucking take the Philippines right now? They could just be like, we're arming the Philippine Maoists and the Philippine government is actually killing the Maoists. We have to protect the beautiful Filipino population, and we're going to do that by fucking taking over the Philippines. You know, American style. What's America going to do? What's America going to do? Taiwan is 2 weeks away from having nukes. We have to go into Taiwan. What's America going to do? Are we going to tell China this is why we don't have healthcare? Is that what we're going to do? Is that what we're going to do? We're going to show them how epic we are. We're going to do epic Fortnite Chungus, Israel style defense. We're fucking panic shipping THAADs away from South Korea right now into the fucking region so we can defend Israel, because a country that has the economy the size of not even the state of Texas is capable of still pummeling fucking Tel Aviv in spite of 60% of our naval assets directly parked in the region to defend Israel. What the fuck are you talking about? China has no combat experience. China has no combat experience. This is embarrassing how much you're coping. Honestly, I'm a fan, but just stop, gang. You make no sense. Yes, I'm the one who's coping. China has no combat experience. So what's going to happen to their fucking missile systems then? Are they just going to implode? Is that what that means? Is that where the combat experience comes in? There's a technological gap here. What the fuck are you talking about? There's a manufacturing gap. There's a technological gap. This is before we talk about export controls. Okay, let's say China's like, we're liberating the Philippines. We're liberating the island of Philippines. It's the only country in the Asian region that does not cooperate with China and does not want to create a security cooperative agreement with China. They go in and they say, there's already a base of support amongst the Philippine Maoists that have been violently suppressed by the Filipino government. We have to protect these Filipino, we have to protect the Filipino population. We have to go and we have to go into the island. Okay? We're going into the island. We're encircling the island. We're taking over the Philippines. What the fuck is America going to do? What is America going to do? America can't defend Ukraine. America can't defend Israel. America can't defend any of the fucking Gulf countries. How is America going to defend the Philippines? China knows it can't face the U.S. on the battlefield because the second Taiwan Strait crisis. Do your research, Hasan. I'm not even talking about Taiwan. I'm talking about fucking the Philippines, okay? China is liberating the Philippines in this hypothetical scenario. What does America do? I'm not even talking about Taiwan. Okay, how about Taiwan? It's pure imperial hubris. Wake the fuck up. They got their asses handed to them with straight American support, which was happening in the Philippines too. Okay. All right, chatter. America's munitions stockpile has diminished. Okay? It still has offensive capabilities that are virtually unlimited, but their defensive capabilities have diminished spectacularly. Now, let me ask you this question. What happens when China says, oh, well, sorry, we are running out of supplies because we have our own ambitions here, and we have to do tight export controls on magnets and rare earth minerals that are necessary for American national security defense. Where do you go? How do you build the missiles? Are you going to make it in your fucking backyard? How are you going to build the missiles then? Now that the stockpile is diminished, how are you going to build the missiles? Where do you go? Do you go to Australia? Shut the fuck up. Are you going to just build them in your backyard? Are you going to materialize a refinement strategy overnight? It took 30 years with central planning for China to get to this level of monopoly control over every single key item necessary for American national security and American defense. And you're over here talking about a country that can barely build 12 fucking THAAD launchers a year. And you're like, or 12 missiles a year, talking about how they're going to be able to do this while China does tight export controls. Yeah, I'm the one who's coping. We have contingency plans. Are you serious, gang? What are the contingency plans? What are the contingency plans? Explain to me what the contingency plans are. What are the contingency plans? Nuclear holocaust? Mutually assured destruction? Is that the contingency plans? 1,000 Iraqi Kurds have launched a ground offensive in Iran, U.S. official tells Fox. Yeah, they're going to launch Godzilla. We have a fucking unlimited budget in the military, and we're having a hard time dealing with Iran. We can't even stop Iran from blowing up the fucking Gulf countries' American bases. They've taken out billions of dollars worth of fucking radar systems in the goddamn region. And you're over here going, oh, dude, there's a will, there's a way, brother. What are you relying on? I'm showing you what's happening right now. You said we have contingency plans. Are you serious, gang? You think America, which has been preparing for a war with China, doesn't have backup plans? That doesn't make sense, gang. What are the plans? I already know what the actual limited options are. That's why I already referenced them. You don't even know which country America could go to. That's why I said, are they going to make Australia refine all the fucking rare earth minerals necessary to make up for literally our over-reliance on China in the event of a tight export controls? You think I'm in the war rooms? No, dumbass. You haven't even done the readily available reading. That's the problem, because you're coping. Like you literally said, oh, bro, America is America. That's your argument. Your counter argument is America's America. You think they don't have a plan? I don't know, man. Does it seem like we have a really good plan here? Sometimes Benjamin Netanyahu and a legion of fucking pedophiles can just come in and be like, hey, we're going to do this thing and you're coming along for the journey. And our dumbass president goes, oh, that seems great. I would love to be glorious. Accuses you of coping and starts coping. Yeah, I'm not the one who's coping. Is low-key fucking you up inside with Iran that the U.S. is accomplishing what it want? I can tell. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I will never be able to get this across. You're, again, cattle. It's fucking you up, dude. Yeah, it's fucking me up. It's fucking me up so hard. You're right. You're coping. You don't even have a single fucking contingency plan in mind. You're just assuming that it's going to be good. It's going to be good somehow when things are actually not as good as American media is trying to present it. As a matter of fact, even the American media is not even trying to present it as like as a overall positive. Both sides are coping right now, to be fair. I'm not fucking coping at all. I don't think there's anything positive coming out of this for the Iranian population. I'm already talking about like the escalation ladder that we are going to go up. Okay? The only positive solution here, or the least bad option here, is if America receives enough pressure that they back away and try to lean into Trump's interests of like building Trump Tower in Tehran or something. And then they're like, okay, we'll just keep the Iranian government intact. We'll cut Israel out. If you don't cut Israel out, it's over. Okay? As long as Israel runs the American government like a fucking flesh puppet and runs our foreign policy in whichever way they see fit, it's just death and destruction. It's mass instability. It's mass chaos. Hello. No. Watch out. Kaya. Get out of there. Kaya. Get out of there. Get. No end game. Chaos of war, profiteering, oil and gas. Yeah. Pentagon prelim assessment says $1 billion a day already. Nice. That's why I told you the notion that it was only $2 billion in cost is ridiculous. That's $2 billion worth of assets that have been destroyed. But the daily cost for waging Israel's war right now is $1 billion a day. It's probably more than that, actually. It's probably a conservative estimate. They're already blaming Ukraine for the stockpile issues. Oh, nice. Oh, there it is. Here we go. Hey, is it good that the White House is already trying to pre-blame Ukraine for the outcome of a 5-day-old war? That's probably good, right? This isn't cope. This is just reading the fucking tea leaves.
However, the president...
It's not even reading the tea leaves. It's just listening to what they're saying. They're pretty fucking transparent about it. Does it seem like it's going really well?
That post was pointing out that, unfortunately, we had a very stupid and incompetent leader in this White House for 4 years who gave away many of our best weapons for nothing, for free, to another...
That's not even true, by the way. We did not give our best weapons to Ukraine. It's fucking ridiculous.
...country very far away by the name of Ukraine. So the president was pointing...
Here's the contingency plan for that chatter. It's called blaming Ukraine. Blaming Ukraine for being invaded. What an incredible contingency plan.
Pointing out how that was an unwise decision, but nevertheless, don't doubt the strength and the might of the American military. However, the president in that post was pointing out that, unfortunately, we had a very stupid and incompetent leader in this White House for 4 years who gave away many of our best weapons for nothing, for free, to another country very far away by the name of Ukraine. So the president was...
Unlimited support for Israel. And any support that we've given to Ukraine, which, by the way, again, was a proxy anyway for our ambitions to push back against Russia. And we bit off more than we could chew because they're fucking insane enough. Because they're fucking insane enough to throw bodies into the goddamn meat grinder to take up like 8 inches of fucking Ukrainian territory every goddamn week. And even then, it's like, yeah, fuck the Ukrainians. How desperate they are, how hungry they are for our best weapons. Fucking bullshit. We didn't give them our best weapons. Get the fuck out of here. And now the EU, out of the gas crisis pressure that's taking place, that's taking place in the fucking Strait of Hormuz because of Iran, is urging Ukraine to allow access to pipeline carrying Russian oil. Fantastic. Meanwhile, the EU is turning to Russia for gas now with Nord Stream gone by the CIA. Also, Putin said maybe he doesn't give them gas. There's no shot Putin doesn't give them gas. Russian President Putin says it may be time to stop supplying gas to European markets. No shot.
Just that, no? Starting the 25th, they want to restrict Russian gas purchases, and then in 2027 they want to further restrict gas supplies from Russia. Now there are new markets that are opening up. Maybe it would make sense for us to stop our supply to the European markets right.
Dude, is there a continent more cucked? Like, I yell about the Gulf nations all the time, but is there really a group more cucked than Europeans, than the Euroid nations? He'll have buyers in India and China and South Korea and Japan since the supply to Asia is blocked. Oh, yeah, no, I know. He doesn't need to fucking sell to Europe. I think he could use this as an opportunity to restart relationships with Europe after fucking pummeling Ukraine. But Europe, every decision America makes, Europe gets fucking destroyed in the process. Every single decision that America makes, Europe is fucked. And they still haven't figured it out. Or at least if they have, they're like, well, we gotta abide by our masters. Spiegel, Mr. Lux, are the Israeli and U.S. airstrikes against the Iranian regime a cause of joy or concern for you? An armed conflict is always a cause of concern. What bothers me about the debate we're having in Germany is that we're only discussing principles. International law is undoubtedly important, but we should adopt the perspective of the people who are so oppressed by the regime that they welcome bombs falling on their own country.
Now to turn to the markets that are emerging and to consolidate our standing on these markets. This is not about politics, but if in a month or in 2 months they'll stop buying our gas, maybe we should preemptively turn to other markets in order to consolidate our standing there. This is not a solution. This is just what I'm thinking. It's not a done deal. I will instruct the government to work with our companies on this matter.
Incredible stuff, man. You usually have to go to Reddit to see pictures of people being cucked, but the Germans are just posting on Maine. Oh no, Germany as Germany as a nation state, which is like literally the fucking economic engine that drives the European Union, is so servile, so reduced. This is what happens when you don't denazify Nazi Germany, by the way. Yeah, Ecuador kicks out Cuba because of U.S. strikes. I know, I saw that. We're going to talk about that too. There's events being put in motion there too. What do you expect to come if the Kurds offensive, if anything? I think it's not about reaching a serious, sincere military objective for the Kurds. I think it's about just like destabilization while they continue pummeling Tehran and mass chaos.
What?
It's just, yeah, it's misery maxing, if you want to call it that.
از اینجا میاد اینجا.
I don't understand how people can't comprehend that. Like, what's going on right now is literally so fucking devastating and so destabilizing. And people think like, oh, I have like a hidden investment in the IRGC or something, and that's why I'm coping, and not because I'm terrified of the death and destruction that's unfolding in Iran right now, and also terrified of what comes next. Remember after 9/11, they took almost 2 years convincing the American people that Iraq was responsible for 9/11 and was creating weapons to do something worse. Now it's just like, I felt like it. Yeah. Definitely a reduced media capability, a reduced government in terms of propaganda. But I think it doesn't matter, right? I think it just doesn't, like, there are people that still come into this chat that go, oh, keep coping. You know what I mean? Like, as though every bomb that drops on the Iranian population that kills the Iranian people is not paid for with your tax dollars that could have gone to fixing your fucking roads, that could have gone to giving you health care. And the bombs that we're dropping this time around is being dropped directly for Israel's ambition in destroying a country with 93 million people. It's so crazy that people are desperate. They're so desperate to like feel like they get a W here. Like they want to feel like they have an investment in this. And most of the Americans that look at this in horror realize that they have no power. They have no way to put an end to this because, let's be real, what democracy exists when it comes to foreign policy? Never seen a covert CIA separatist military operation so heavily advertised as is happening, as wildly and as loudly as they can PR it. You'd almost think the CIA was running a deception operation here to stoke IRI paranoia to get them to massacre local Kurds. I think that's... If I was a very real force like PJAC and I was covertly sneaking my fighters into a war zone, I don't think I'd be thanking my sponsor for blabbing it to my enemy. Yeah, I think that's... I genuinely think that that's the case here too. I don't think these guys reveal the cards this early. You know what I mean? In the past, they never would have blown their load this hard and gotten a CNN hit. I suspect they don't have the popular support inside of Iran. And they have like a reduced capability of like maybe doing some terror campaigns here and there. And they hope that the government comes down super hard on the Iranian population to create a popular mobilization. So Kurdish leaders come out and say they don't want to get involved in supporting U.S. Israel, and then suddenly there's an electricity blackout, and Israel announces that Kurds are mobilizing on their behalf where there's no internet, when leaders already said no, right? I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, you don't hear from every single person anyway. Oil hits $100 a barrel. It's going to go... 150 is when... I mean, this is a Shanghai International Exchange. Oil has hit $100 a barrel. We're cooking the Asian markets. Anti-war protesters. What is this? Senator Sheehy joined Capitol Police in lifting up and ejecting anti-war protester Brian McGinnis from the SASC subcommittee hearing. McGinnis is a Green Party candidate running for Senate in North Carolina. An anti-war activist filmed in the video below.
Out! No one wants to fight for Israel!
His hand! Oh!
Oh, they broke it. I think he broke his...
Let go of your hand. Let go of the door. Let go of the door.
They broke his arm? Fuck. Oh, you heard the crack, dude. That's crazy. That's pretty cool. Holy shit. I mean, like what he was doing is pretty cool. Great optics of doing this to a dude in a Marine dress blues. Yeah, he was a Navy SEAL apparently. Hasan, the government had computers 15 years before general public did. Do you think they have AGI and have been lying and all this news is fake? I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Dude, what the fuck are you saying? What the freaking frick are you saying right now, man? Death and destruction from the sky all along. I'm telling you, these people are genocidal fanatics. And no, this did not begin with the Trump administration. They want to do to Iran what previous U.S. administrations did to Vietnam, Laos, Korea, Iraq, Libya. The evil is 100% bipartisan. Yes. The gas station near me went from $2 to $3 overnight. It's going to get fucking worse.
In a few days, in under a week, the two most powerful air forces in the world will have complete control of Iranian skies, uncontested airspace. I hope all the folks watching understand what uncontested airspace and complete control means. It means we will fly all day, all night, day and night, finding, fixing, and finishing the
Cringe, dude. Oh my God. Stop sending me fucking AI videos from like the pro-Iranian OSINT accounts, dude. Please. It's just AI slop all around. It's unbelievable how much fucking AI slop people post.
Missiles and defense industrial base of the Iranian military, finding and fixing their leaders and their military leaders, flying over Tehran, flying over Iran, flying over their capital, flying over the IRGC, Iranian leaders looking up and seeing only U.S. and Israeli air power every minute of every day.
This goes hard for every dumb fuck, by the way. Like, you know, like every European tuning into the Asmongold channel is like, oh, yes, this is so good, yeah. Oh, I love this. It feels like I'm coming. It feels like I'm doing it, yeah. Oh, are we killing the people? Oh, it's so good. Meanwhile, enjoy not having fucking gas in the upcoming weeks, dumbass. Oh, you're based! Your base is so based. I love the Americanish genocide. I love it. It's like I'm doing the genocide myself. Meanwhile, I have no autonomy, no sovereignty. Yeah, it's fine. I love being the servile dog of the Americanish state. Oh, please.
Until we decide it's over. And Iran will be able to do nothing about it. B-2s, B-52s, B-1s, Predator drones, fighters, controlling the skies, picking targets. Death and destruction from the sky, all day long. We're playing for keeps. Our warfighters have maximum authorities granted personally by the president and yours.
Oh my God. 12-year-olds with fighter jet magazine collections are so stoked about this. No, it's not. It's worse than that. It's like 45-year-olds living in their fucking parents' basement with no job prospects and no positive outcomes for a fucking future that are lucky enough to maintain that shelter for as long as they can until, God forbid, Their parental unit experiences a debilitating medical disaster and therefore collapses the family's finances, and he no longer has that shelter anyway and no job prospects. Remember, I need to explain that to you one more time, because guess what? AI is taking over whatever kind of IT position they could have possibly gotten in the fucking future, okay? And they sit around, 45 years old, no bitches whatsoever, okay? No job whatsoever, no money whatsoever, and sit in their crusty fucking boxers in between watching the Bungulator or whatever the fuck is called, the burnt peanut stream and the Asmongold stream, flipping in and out, thinking, well, America has a mighty military and they're killing a bunch of brown people overseas, and that makes me feel fucking powerful, okay? That's it. Hey, maybe you can join ICE, the fascist, the fattest Hitler brigade anyone has ever seen. Maybe you can join that. While American officials could not be more explicit that this is a war intended to maximize death, destruction, and despair inside of Iran, there are Iranis outside of Iran who believe this war is for democracy. I don't even care about listening to fucking Iranian voices, the diaspora voices. I don't really... I think many of them that celebrated will come to that conclusion fairly shortly, okay? Yes, right now they think, oh, this is to liberalize Iran or whatever. They're silly enough to believe that Iranians will be different, okay? However, very soon when they get that devastating phone call from the remaining family members that, you know, their grandparents got fucking ethered by American weapons that they paid with their tax dollars to go and bomb Iran, an act that they celebrated, they'll probably change their fucking tune. They'll change their attitude, okay? Kurdish Soviet, please listen to Kurdish voices. Shut the fuck up. I'm disappointed. Please listen to Kurdish voices. Have you sent her Kurdish voices like Brace Belden? Yeah, I have not. I have actually. There's been a second awful burnt peanut tattoo. I think these are all AI, by the way. I don't believe that any single human being would do that. In 2003, it fell to popular commentators like Thomas Friedman to articulate the real reasons for war. Suck on this. Now Trump officials just shout the vulgar psychology out loud, while crucially, most Americans don't feel or understand it. And the ones that do hear it, though, no, this is going to the intended audience. I think at this point, they've realized that there is no need for popular support for stuff like this, right? There is no need for popular support, and they don't even have it, quite frankly. And basically, Kurdish sources deny reports that a ground offensive has begun. Okay, this leads me to believe that Israel is trying to get the IRGC to go blow up Kurdish villages. I think that's the reason why they're leaking these reports ahead of time. That's what it feels like. They're trying to they're trying to be like, oh yeah, no, the Kurds are definitely coming. The Kurds are definitely coming. When they're not coming. One must ask the question why they are so forthcoming with this otherwise covert operation. Do
not come.
I'm gonna come.
Do not come.
Every American outlet is reporting based on administration sources that the Kurdish offensive has started, while journalists who's plugged into Kurdistan is denying it. Something is up. I spoke with 4 Iranian Kurdish officials. They denied the report that any ground offensive has started. there has been an coming from Israeli sources about utilizing Kurdish militias in Iran ahead of what would normally be a covert operation. It's reminding me of Pompeo and Israel admitting Mossad involvement. It's reminding me of Pompeo and Israel admitting Mossad involvement ahead of the mass unrest in Iran. Do with that information what you will. If you recall at the time, I said it is unique to have American and Israeli organs of propaganda come out and actively say Mossad is actually a part of these protests. Okay? I think they're trying to do the same thing. I think they're trying to say, oh, any day now, any moment now, you know, our forces are going to mobilize. We're coming for you, because they want a heavy-handed approach from the IRGC. It has to be true. Hasan, billionaire media says it's true. Come on, paid media can't be lying. There's been an unprecedented amount of reporting coming from Israeli sources about utilizing Kurdish militias in Iran ahead of what would normally be a covert operation. It's reminding me of Pompeo and Israel admitting Mossad involvement ahead of mass unrest in Iran. To invoke a heavy-handed response. Which they did. Random lurker here just saw a news article with female Kurdish soldiers. You called the woke Kurdish articles. Iran's Noor news agency, citing knowledgeable sources, reported that Yemen has conveyed messages to Arab countries urging them not to consider any direct action against Iran, warning that any miscalculation would prompt a response from Yemen. Thousands of Iraqi Kurds have launched a ground offensive in Iran, U.S. official tells Fox. Either CIA stuff can't keep a secret for shit, or they're roping in people mafia style by being complicit. No, I think there is a little bit of truth. I think there is a little bit of truth in, like, obviously Mossad involvement, both in the protests that took place. Probably someone got on their signal chat again. No, they're just trying. Dude, what is unique? What is unique about this is not trying to create a popular uprising with different ethnic groups inside of Iran. That has always been the goal. What's unique about it is that they're calling it ahead of time. They're openly revealing their hand. Normally, you don't do that. Here, I'll give you an example. CNN did not report last time, leading up to the 12-day war, that the American government and the Israeli officials were arming Kurdish militias. And they've been doing it for months. They revealed that only now. Why did they reveal that only now? Because now they're actually either they armed some of the groups and they didn't get the response that they wanted. And the IRGC was very heavy-handed last time around when the mass mobilization and the uprising took place in Iran. Okay? And what amounted to a slaughter, pretty much. And they were able to squash this. They were able to squash like all the military intervention with tremendous force, right? So this time they're trying to kick up the hornet's nest to the best of their ability. but they probably don't have enough. They probably don't have enough manpower and people who are willing and able to go out and do it. So in order to truly create an uprising, truly create a rebellion among the Kurdish groups, they're claiming that they're going to fight. They're claiming that they're going to do terrorism with the hopes that the forces will go there and just blow up fucking villages or some shit. And then you will actually have a popular uprising. Because normally this would be covert. Majority of U.S. Senate blocks effort to force Trump to end Iran strikes without congressional approval. More Israeli Air Force Commander Major General Tomer Bar said today that IAF Special Forces are currently carrying out extraordinary missions that could ignite the imagination. Israeli Air Force operatives, elite special units such as Sheldog, Unit 5101, and Unit 669, which conduct deep reconnaissance, target designation for airstrikes and combat search and rescue missions, often behind enemy lines and alongside IAF strike operations. Interesting. This has always been bipartisan.
I want the Iranians to know that if I'm the president, we will attack Iran. Whatever stage of development they might be in their nuclear weapons program in the next 10 years, during which they might foolishly consider launching an attack on Israel, we would be able to totally obliterate them. That's a terrible thing to say, but those people who run Iran need to understand that, because that perhaps will deter them from doing something that would be reckless, foolish, and tragic.
Is this real or AI? Yes, dude. What do you mean? Is the butcher of Libya? You think she's fucking around? She couldn't do it to Iran under the Obama administration, but at least she was able to get it off on Libya. And also kickstart the initiatives for what would take place in Ukraine. And also kickstart the initiatives of complete collapse in Syria as well. So at least she got a couple of her wishes across. You know? PJAC, the group that claims they're in contact with the Trump administration, is a designated terrorist organization by the State Department. Yeah, America famously hates arming groups that they consider designated terrorist groups by the State Department. This is really gonna... Do they know that? Someone should tell the American government that they're talking to an admin-designated terrorist organization. They've never done that before. Oh, yeah. No, it's a big news to me that they would do such a thing. What? Oh, man. I decided to check out other streamers last night. It turns out there really are anti-Semitic leftists out there. Hog. Why do they need an IRGC response when Amer Israel can bomb the Kurds for the IRGC? I mean, they could do a false flag. Who's to say they won't? I spoke to senior PJAC official who denied this. I think they're wrong when they say that we have already started the war now, but we are preparing for the right opportunity.
That are currently based. So really groundbreaking reporting by our senior producer, Yulia Pobegailova, indicating that Kurdish forces that are currently based or that are based in Iraq have launched a ground offensive into Iranian territory.
Hold on. Kurdish leader in Iran, Mustafa Hizri of the KDPI, urges Kurdish soldiers to leave their bases and go home, saying the U.S. and Israeli strikes on the security and military bases pose a grave threat to the lives of civilians and ordinary people. Mustafa Hizri, The U.S. and Israeli strikes on the security and military base of the Islamic Republic of Iran's regime often pose a grave threat to the lives of civilians and ordinary people. I urge all soldiers and personnel who possess choice and a desire of freedom across Iran, and especially Kurdistan, to abandon the barracks and security and military base of the regime's IRGC. Yeah, he's talking to the Kurds that are in the IRGC. He's telling Kurds to desert. That's what he's doing. This is, I mean, they're in line with, they're trying to also work alongside. They're also trying to work alongside some of the leadership is also trying to work alongside American and Israeli interests here. Okay, look. I urge all soldiers and personnel who possess choice and a desire for freedom across Iran, and especially in Kurdistan, to abandon the barracks and security and military base of the regime's IRGC, army, and security forces, to refuse to carry out the duties assigned to them, and to return to their family homes. This would be in their own best interest, both during these strikes and afterwards. It would spare them from the fate of the security forces and regime's crackdowns. That's good, right? No, what the fuck are you talking about? No. He's signaling to the Kurds, who are, again, majority anti-Israel and integrated into Iranian society, the ones that are literally a part of the Iranian society's regular security apparatus, whether it be civilian security or whether it be the IRGC or even the Iranian national military, which is separate from the IRGC, to literally engage in an act of mutiny, to do treason. He is also playing a role in fomenting instability in regular Iranian society. Aiden, simmer down. Kurdish offensive in Iran will backfire. The war will end with the Islamic Republic intact. After that, they'll call open season on the Kurds. It's open season on the Kurds regardless, by the way. I need you to understand something, okay? It's either open season on the Kurds if the IRGC goes and starts bombing Kurdish villages, or it's open season on the Kurds after mass destabilization occurs, and then the Turkish government, the Turkish military comes in and bombs Kurdish villages. The best bet for the Kurds, as well as everyone in Iranian society right now, is that the government remains intact. This is why I'm saying mass instability is not going to lead to an Iranian Kurdistan. Is this war going to keep escalating? Yes. What is this? Our perfect Dubai life is under threat. How British families are dealing with the attacks. Oh my God, dude, you're not serious, right? Like, are they writing this to get fucking people to support the IRGC strikes? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Oh, shut the fuck up. No. That's too, I'm not even entertaining that. That's bait, right? That's gotta be bait. That's crazy. Marine interrupts Senate hearing. Yeah, I already covered that. So especially with the Kurdish stuff that's going on, there's some fuckery about, okay? There is some fuckery about, and I don't know I don't know what's going to inevitably happen, but what I do know is anything that Israel touches turns to dust. So here is the Israeli media embedded with the armed Kurdish PJAK during the protests in January. Israeli documentary shows the Kurdish mercenaries they're training for war on Iran. Oh yeah, this is from... But finally, here she is. Pejman, the commander of PJAK. Kurdish woman who dreams and works to overthrow woke the regime in Tehran.
Peyman, you are now one of the most wanted persons by Iran and by Turkey. Aren't you afraid?
Drawing on Unitarians that they want to kill us, that they want to capture us. Here's the Yulia tweet. Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I know. The Kurdish force in Iraq, and it's a female fighter, of course. To resist, not afraid. Governments that cooperate with Turkey. Is the Iranian regime a fascist regime? I know it doesn't matter, but leftists seem to think that Iran is somehow not responsible for killing protesters. Okay, I'm gonna try to do this to the best of my ability to help you understand. Who do you think between the Iranian government and the Israeli government is more ruthless, more cruel, more violent, maintaining an apartheid structure? The answer is not Iran. Okay. Iran has a theocratic governance structure. Iran is very repressive, oftentimes even brutal to its own citizens from time to time. Part of that is because of this, what you are seeing right now. Part of that is because they have a very heavy-handed approach, so much so that it actually creates a national security problem for Iran. This is true. Having said that, however, every part of the Israeli design is not for the betterment of the Iranian people or the Iranian government, for Iranian culture. Israel does not want Iran to exist. Okay? Israel does not want Iran to exist. They openly admit this all the fucking time. I just showed you a Financial Times article where an Israeli envoy straight up said it. They said, we don't give a fuck what happens. It doesn't matter. What are you going to do about it?
تركيا وإيران لهمبري أو رژیم دسلات.
پیمان היום בת 36 גדלה ברחובות האלה. רחובות שהיום היא מסייעת להבעיר בדרך למהפכה.
Like when you see stuff like this, does that help you understand a little bit more? Does that help you come to terms? This is the Israeli government. This is the design by Israel. Okay? Like wake up a little bit, please. It's hard to have to like relitigate this over and over again. Okay? Yes, this is a documentary on the Israeli side in Hebrew where they go into the tunnel systems under Iran, or I think this might be in Iraq, where they're openly saying like, oh, our assets are fomenting discontent, trying to spark a rebellion, trying to spark an uprising.
כי החיים באיראן לא הותירו לה שום ברירה אחרת.
Because the Iranian system gives women no life, meaning very little opportunity. Every woman is forbidden. This is also an abject lie. Okay, before people yell at me over this, yes, there are a lot of repressive components in Iranian governance and the way that they deal with women. Abso-fucking-lutely. It's idiotic. It's backwards. I hate it. Okay, but the idea that like Iran is like the Taliban is fucking ridiculous. So why is she saying that? Why is she making it seem like Iran behaves exactly like Afghanistan to an Israeli audience? Why is she leaning into this notion? Iranian women have a higher level of educational attainment than Israeli women do. That's not even a fucking joke. That's not bullshit. That's just facts. Okay? Iranian women have the highest level of educational attainment per capita than virtually every other country on the planet. Okay? Just so you understand, there are repressive elements that deny Iranian women freedom in regular society. But they're trying to make it seem like Iranian women have no options. They don't work in the workplace. They don't do this. They don't do that. This is not a reality in Iran.
وەک کچێکی نۆرمال کچێکی لە ماڵ کچێکی کۆ بەس کچێکی بووم کۆ بەردام گرایشی منی کۆ ئەو سیستەمە قبول نەکەم هەبوو ئەمە ئەو گرایشی ئازادی بوو.
Why did they just give up on the fucking English subtitles, dude? I think she's saying, what? What is she saying? She's saying that they force women to wear the niqab, right? I can't tell. Kurds! What is she saying? Is she saying that they're making I can translate if you want. Okay, translate.
کچێکی بووم کۆ بەردام گرایشی منی کۆ ئەو سیستەمە قبول نەکەم هەبوو.
Oh, now you want to hear from Kurdish voices? Yes. Typical Ottoman ordering the Kurds in the chat. I am joking. What does she say?
ئەمە ئەو گرایشی ئازادی بوو سەرسەبەبی کوک و ناس.
Our stance is Marxists should be against all fascism everywhere, Israeli, American, and Iranian. It still doesn't mean some fascists should be allowed to bomb the shit out of others. Yeah, I don't know if you understand this, but like, she is an asset for Israel and America, okay? Like, I don't know how else to explain this to you. I understand your concern about funding and priorities. It's natural to want to see investments in our own country. The aid we provide to Israel is actually strategic investment in our own security and prosperity, as they're a vital ally in the region. Sharing intelligence and technology to help us safe from terrorism. And most of the aid is spent on American-made defense equipment, which benefits our economy. Shut the fuck up. She did not say that. I'm going to text. Okay, she said something about that's a text message from what she was saying. That chatter was like totally okay. There's not a single fucking Kurdish person in the chat. Jesus Christ. Iranian women don't study and don't have any saying in society. Proceeds to attack a all-girls school is so fucking stupid. Yeah, okay, so I was right. She's talking about regime suppression for women in niqab being forced upon them and shit. Okay, so she says, I'm a Kurdish woman who does not agree with this system.
לא מעט מהמחאות שאנחנו רואים, בעיקר באזורים קורדים באיראן, הם יוזמה של פז'ק. זה מתחיל הרבה לפני, שנים של חינוך למחאה.
Years of education for protest. Okay. Anyway, here's what Israel's saying.
Already on Monday, we're talking about thousands of Kurdish forces crossing the border, taking offensive, I should say, positions in the mountainous area of Mariwan. This is the mountainous range really on the border between Iran and Iraq. This is based on information from an official from the coalition of political forces of Iranian Kurdistan. These thousands of Kurdish fighters, mainly from the Pejak, these are Iranian Kurds who have fled into Iraq, trained for this moment exactly, and have now launched their offensive into Iranian territory. And as we speak, there's reports of intense airstrikes on IRGC positions in Mariwan, which would indicate coordination between the Kurdish forces and whoever is striking those positions, be they American or Israeli forces. You know, throughout these past couple of days, there have been numerous reports of coordination between the Trump administration and Kurdish forces in Iraq, including direct conversations between President Trump and Kurdish leaders. Coinciding with that, there is also a phone call between the Iranian foreign minister and the president of Iraqi Kurdistan, warning against any operation along the border between Iran and Iraq. And so we are seeing right now that ground offensive has already begun.
Wait, I didn't know Iranian women are allowed to gallivant. Yes, there are a lot of liberalized areas in Tehran. It's true. The government literally fucking, like, Iranian people fought for this, okay? They died for this. They got arrested for this. Just so you understand. Like, that's not... Iranian women are literally pushing for progress themselves. I was visiting there in the winter, left January 8th. Pure coincidence, by the way. So many of my friends and family don't wear hijab anymore. Tehran especially has progressed so much. This war and foreign interventions is going to set everything back. I know. There was a bit in Democracy Now! Where they talked about this, where there was like a dissident who straight up was like, this is going to destroy Iran. I don't get it. They're going to get destroyed. Iran still has like 500K army personnel on the ground and will also send drones on them. I know. The thing is, Iran has had, the Iranian government has always been incredibly fucking heavy-handed. But the Mahsa Amini protests were pretty effective. And again, like, for Iranians to achieve this level of liberty in their social lives and in their existence, especially in major cities, okay, they died for it. Like, they straight up died for it. Okay, the Iranian government does not fuck around. Whenever there's any sort of uprising, when you're a foreign adversary to the United States of America and to Israel, they do not play around with any sort of uprising. They just go as heavy-handed as you possibly can get. Okay, which creates even more instability, which frustrates people even further. Murdering civilians is just heavy-handed. I don't know what else you want me to say. I'm saying they're fucking ruthless. They're brutal. What the fuck do you want? Do you want me to sit here and justify nuking Tehran? Because that's not going to fucking happen. There's going to be regime change. Unfortunately, the U.S. is not going to stop until it happens in Iran and Venezuela. It's inevitable. It turns out the Iranian warship sunk by Trump forces was at India for a Navy event invited by India. It looks like India deceived Iran and sold them out. This is a blatant war crime. Oh. How'd that fucking... To the Ayatollah, who already passed away and probably wasn't watching to begin with, and the rest of the old guard in the IRGC, how'd that Indian deal work out for you instead of working with the Chinese state? How'd that work out? Yes, after Mahsa Amini got brutally murdered, they were a little relaxed on Iranians defying hijab laws, but it's not the law, meaning they can fuck with you anytime they want. It's like the IRGC imports alcohol, and they have a monopoly on alcohol and liquor, but if they want to fuck with you, they can arrest you. Yes, I know. I know that it's a revolution is necessary. It's just not going to happen in the hands of the American state. Hello. My argument is not about fucking social liberties for the Iranian people. We've moved way past that point, and I think you know that, and I hope you understand that. I got shot with rubber bullets during the Mahsa Amini protests. We lost around 5,000 people and 10,000 got arrested. We gained some social liberties, but the economy has gotten worse ever since. I got out of Iran by 2024. Exactly. And now it's going to get so much fucking worse. That sounds like the U.S. police too, though. No, there is no... The United States has free speech because it can get away with free speech because it has 800 military bases and no other fucking competing global power that can actually disrupt its domestic affairs and its foreign policy goals. Okay? Countries that are in the periphery that are designed as state adversaries, foreign adversaries by the U.S. state, cannot get away with allowing any sort of discontent to go on because even a fraction of discontent yields mass instability and potential regime collapse. This is why they get more and more aggressive, whether it be Cuba in the way that people talk about the Cuban government, which has been, I mean, in comparison to like Iran or even China, the Cuban government is obviously a liberal bastion. But once again, the reason why America is losing its free speech protections right in front of our eyes is because America is losing its power around the globe. It's losing its fucking hegemonic superpower status. And that's why we're now thinking a little differently about our domestic affairs. Our police will get even more ruthless as time goes on. The same goes for policing and policing domestic affairs in countries in the periphery, in countries that are designed as foreign adversaries. Historically speaking, the only fucking way, the only time when any sort of instability happens in foreign adversaries, they strike way harder to be able to stop it. Okay. And in the process of striking hard, if they can't overcome it with like economic development as China has, that leads to mass instability. That only foments more instability. And the ultimate goal is always regime collapse. Do you understand? This is not a defense of what these countries do. But the reason why you can't compare it to America, when you say, oh, well, America kills like 1,000 people a year. Our police kills 1,000 people every year. It's not a comparison, okay? You've never experienced anything like this. You've never even experienced anything like this like you see in Turkey, which is far better off than, as a NATO ally, far better off than Iran ever is. Don't mistake what I'm saying here. I'm not making a comparison between the situation in Iran for dissidents in Iran versus the situation in Turkey for dissidents in Turkey. But the reason why these countries react the way that they do is not for some I guess it's different for different countries, but like the reason why they strike down as aggressively as possible towards any kind of discontent is because they are understandably fearful of what that discontent yields, which is complete collapse of the system. They don't want to turn into fucking Libya. They don't want to turn into the Kurds are not mobilizing. It's fake news. I have family there, one of whom is a known journalist. Yeah. I think that I was talking about this already. I think it's because they want to make it seem like the Kurds are attacking Iran so that Iran takes a heavy-handed approach and like as far as like Iranian governance goes, they've made a lot of fucking major mistakes. They've been incredibly brutal. They've been incredibly ruthless in their crackdowns. They've been incredibly bloody. But their biggest mistake, aside from not engaging in nuclear proliferation as soon as they possibly could, okay, was not aligning themselves with China, because Iran is one of those countries that culturally always wants to remain sovereign. They have, ironically enough, an ideology that's not dissimilar to Jusha, but one that is also still very much looking at the West as potential partners in the future. It's idiotic. The West has only yielded death and destruction for Iran, and yet Every single fucking time, down to the civilian governance that has been elected as reformist or whatever the fuck, or conservative civilian governance, and the Ayatollah has always thought one day the Westerners are going to actually deal with us as partners. That's it. That's it. They've always been like, oh yeah, they'll come to us eventually. They'll come to us eventually. Well, it turns out that's not happening. This is the only kind of, this is the only thing that the West wants out of Iran, is to destroy it. Jusha and Iran aren't comparable. Man, I'm using an example, okay? I'm using a fucking example. Obviously, Jusha and Iran are not comparable because Jusha succeeded in maintaining sovereignty. Iran did not. Iran is getting fucking destroyed right now. It's not like the DPRK is in a fucking like good neighborhood. I mean, I guess they technically are because they're slammed in the ass cheeks of China for their own desires, for their own autonomy. But ultimately, you got so many American troops surrounding the country, both in South Korea and Japan, and yet they were able to, develop a nuclear program, develop, just like Iran has the ballistic missiles, North Korea has artillery. Okay? You might think, why do they have so much artillery? Well, that's because they wanted to have some kind of threat, some kind of military deterrence to make it super costly if America ever came back and tried to bomb North Korea back into the Stone Ages again. First, they build the artillery directed at South Korea, okay? Peppered along the demilitarized zone. The Iranian version of that was the ballistic missiles program, okay? Then, at Seoul, directly at Seoul. Then, after that, they build a nuclear program. Then they build the ICBMs so they can deliver the nukes if they want to. That's how they achieved nuclear sovereignty. And now, with partnerships with Russia and partnerships with China, they can work to develop the country for the civilian population and slowly but surely improve the material conditions of its people. I wouldn't be surprised if the current administration attempted regime change at DPRK at this point. Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot more difficult to do that because they're shut off from the rest of the world for that reason. The two major mistakes for Iranian foreign policy, or the three major mistakes, was obviously not developing nuclear arms. I mean, there were tremendous setbacks in general from Israel straight up assassinating their fucking top academics anyway, over and over again on Iranian soil, by the way. And then not dealing with China earlier. Because they've always been very Western facing and also very invested in sovereignty and not really looking for help from any other global power, whether it be the USSR at the time or whether it be China in recent times. They've been very suspicious about dealing with foreign major powers. It's been 4 days already. Why haven't the U.S. and Israel been banned by the IOC and FIFA for launching a war of aggression? Quite sure that was the exact amount of time it took to decide on banning Russia. Well, yeah, it's not going to happen. No material analysis. What? You should get former Washington Post reporter and political prisoner Jason Rezaian on stream and his podcast, book 544 Days. Really interesting and informative. What is this? Is this Matt Iglesias?
And Israel launched a joint attack on Iran. hundreds of people have been killed, including the primary target, Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei. I've been getting a lot of questions about if this is a good or a bad thing. And the answer is that it's complicated. And I'm feeling a wide range of emotions. It makes sense that many Iranians are celebrating.
Bro looks exactly like Matt Iglesias. No
The
disrespect.
death of a tyrant. And at the same time, that some are scared about the uncertainty of what will come next in their country. Both things can be true at the same time. I'm also anxious because the system he ruled over is still intact. And of course, as with any war, the real price is being paid by
my anxieties are not that the system is still intact. I'll be honest.
by innocent people in Iran. And
are you now saying Iran is losing right now? Brother, are you guys fucking insane? Are you insane? America and Israel are carpet bombing Tehran. Of course, as far as the Iranian population, they're losing big time. Everyone is fucking losing. You're losing. Gas prices are going up. You're an average American, you're losing. Okay? If you're the average Iranian diaspora that were demanding that this death and destruction campaign befall your family members still living in Iran, you're losing. You're losing loved ones. Everybody fucking loses in this process. There is no winners in this situation. There's no winners when an imperial superpower wages war against another country, okay? Even in the imperial core, the sons and daughters that go to wage that war, they lose. They lose their loved ones too. I don't understand what the fuck this argument is. Like, Afghanistan was lost, technically, by the American side when the American withdrawal took place and the Taliban took control over the country. Who won in that situation? Was that like a resounding W? Is Afghanistan better off now? No, it's not. The only people that win when America or any imperial superpower wages war are defense contractors and people who have financial interest in the continuation of this war. It's not good for anyone. As far as the state remaining intact, if that's the Iranian W that you're like trying to seek out here, yes, so far the state is intact. Okay? If that's your W or L, so far the Iranian government is intact. So far the Iranian military is intact.
Countries in the region. There are massive shifts happening inside Iran right now. Bombs are still dropping. But there are few international news outlets with a presence inside the country. Many reasons explain why journalists are ill-equipped to cover this story right now. A lot of that is because the Iranian government has made it all but impossible for journalists to operate inside the country. But it's also because the media often distills the story of Iran into simply good versus evil arguments or discussions about the country's nuclear program. It's a massive country of over 90 million people from a wide range of ethnic, religious, and linguistic backgrounds, and it has more than 2,500 years of history. It simply can't be distilled into black and white. An audience...
Yeah, all of that's going to go away, by the way, now that the Amer-Israeli pedophilic cabal is fucking lasering all of that every day with American tax dollars, by the way. And American sons and daughters are the ones who are directing those bombs. It's fucking awesome. I know. I'm going to talk about Ezra Klein's like laughable argument here. It's so funny. The real victim.
Does also have a responsibility to demand more nuance, not less.
Bro, he didn't. God, he didn't say anything, chatter. That's not Matt Iglesias. That's an Iranian journalist. Are people so brain dead now that it's shocking the U.S. can project this much power that doesn't mean anything for morality? It's also, okay, the United States has basically unlimited munitions when it comes to its offensive capabilities, okay? No one, I hope no one, is surprised by the fact that America can carpet bomb civilian populations. What is surprising so far is the resilience of the IRGC in terms of maintaining its targeting and striking capabilities in spite of the American and Israeli bombing campaigns that are fucking taking place. Okay? It's also a major blow to American empire because they had to literally pull out and leave the Gulf states that are supposed to be in a security cooperation with the United States of America, and even the assets, like even the energy productive capabilities in the region, basically left defenseless to be pummeled by Iranian munitions if they see fit. That is a huge blow to American imperialism, a huge blow to American empire and its force projection capabilities. Okay? And a lot of people do not understand that. They think, oh, you're coping or some shit. It's not. This is not cope at all. If you think that China is not like looking at the situation and recalculating, recalibrating what kind of power they actually do have and what kind of power America has, you're wrong.
The whole humanity, the American people should really be alarmed at the level of these bloodthirsty operations. Why are they trying to kill everyone in Iran? I can call it a kind of genocide. On the one hand, I mean, look, the same day, the same hours that they targeted our leadership's compound at the heart of Tehran, and they assassinated the supreme leader, his family members, in daughter. They targeted a school in the city of Minab, south of Iran. They killed 181 little angels. What does it mean? That's genocide, because they are killing not only the leaders, but also those who are going to be the future generation of Iran. Are they really the imminent threat?
Barack 8200 Ravid kept spamming Israeli cables about Kurdish incursions and now has deleted it all, saying the Kurds deny it. Oh my God. He deleted all the tweets. He deleted all the tweets. It doesn't exist anymore. Never mind, guys. Nip it in the bud. Sorry. I guess the Kurdish revolution hasn't taken place yet.
The United States, I think.
No, it's not even backtrack Ravid. He is Barack 8200 Ravid, okay? The reason why he was doing that was because that's the Israeli goal. That was the Israeli goal at the time, and he works for the state of Israel still. I'm sorry.
Deserve to be contemplated. The American people deserve to know what is going on, what kind of conduct their government is doing, how their government is abusing their money, their tax money, their image in the Middle East, in the Islamic world, just in furtherance of the whims of Benjamin Netanyahu, who is, by the way, wanted by ICC, who is a genocidal killer in Palestine. So far, he has killed more than 72,000 people. So what we are watching right now is the continuation of an unprovoked, unwarranted act of aggression. First, they claimed that Iran posed an imminent threat to the United States. What kind of threat can Iran pose to the United States? Did we come to the Gulf of Mexico to target Los Angeles and other US cities? Or they come 6,500 miles away from.
Is there any people on the side of Amer Israel who has said that they were responsible for the bombing of the school? The Iranian diaspora is adamantly claiming that it was the IRGC themselves. Anyone that thinks the IRGC itself bombed that fucking school is a delusional moron. Okay, wait, hold on. Where is the... Hello? Doors open. Right.
Iranian shores. And they are just targeting every part of Iran. They are killing our citizens, municipalities, schools, hospitals, medical centers, sports clubs. Everywhere is being bombarded and targeted by missiles by Israeli and American
Okay. Local authorities declared it's not true for PJAC attack. An American official stated to Fox News that thousands of Iraqi Kurds have launched a ground operation in Iran. Local sources have denied media reports claiming that militants affiliated with PJAC have launched a ground operation in western Iran. Yeah, I guess it's they're holding off for now. It's not happening for now. Can I get the red sauce too? Here, I'm gonna give you the white one. I don't need this. But I think so. Let me see. Yeah, just the fuck you doing? I'm getting food. I'm eating food. Am I allowed? Am I allowed to eat food before I do this interview? In a little bit. No one believes this but liberals. I don't even think liberals are asleep at the wheel, man. I don't think liberals even fucking believe. His latest tweet, update. There is conflicting reports regarding what is currently happening in the northwest Iran with the border of Iraq. It's unclear whether a ground operation by the Kurdish Iranian militias has indeed begun or whether this move may take place in the coming hours. A senior official in one of the Kurdish Iranian factions denied to me that a ground operation has begun. I will update as soon as the situation becomes clearer. It's very strange, man. Very strange stuff. If left alone, Iran would come to the Gulf of Mexico in less than 10 million years after Pangea is reconstructed, but nobody talks about it. Yeah, the idea that like Iran presents any kind of threat to America is fucking laughable. The idea that Iran would present any sort of threat to America or even Israel for that matter, if Israel was just a normal country in the fucking region, is also laughable. It's stupid. Anyway, as far as the I like I said, I think the reason why they're doing this, shit, the reason why they're doing this shit is because they want to create instability and goad the Iranian government to take like super fucking brutal actions against the Kurdish population to create actual uprisings. Anyway.
Telling Fox thousands of Iraqi Kurds have launched a ground offensive in Iran. Decimated, destroyed, defeated. All words the Pentagon used to describe Iran's various military forces on day 5 of Operation Epic Fury. Moments ago, President Trump touting, then it's big, a U.S. official telling Fox thousands of Iraqi Kurds have launched a ground offensive in Iran. Decimated, destroyed, defeated. All words the Pentagon used to describe Iran's various military forces.
Anyway. Let's get to oh, there was also a really funny thing about who struck the school. Elon Levy is such a fucking asshole. He came out and said, where is it? Hold on. Israelis are now blaming Americans for the Minab school bombing in Iran, which killed over 160 plus children and staff. America First folks need to see this. Elon Levy, former Israeli spokesperson, says the Minab school incident is an extremely tragic story. It seems to be the result of faulty intelligence because the school was on a site that used to be a part of an adjacent IRGC base that was bombed. In any case, Israeli forces weren't active in the area and CENTCOM is investigating, so you don't dare try to pin this on us. He literally was like, everyone knows Israel's appetite for killing schoolgirls at schools. But don't you dare. This is American. We're friends like these, man. Also, Hegseth's bombing strike map literally shows that Americans most likely bombed it. Okay? And while we were talking, Senate voted in favor of war.
We have there that sort of
48-52 U.S. votes in favor of war.
a bit better.
Shouts out to John Fetterman. He did that shit. All right, let's get to the elections that took place last night, and then I'll talk more about Iran if there's more updates.
James Tallarico has defeated Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, while longtime Republican Senator John Cornyn will face a runoff against State Attorney General Ken Paxton. While Paxton is...
Tallarico bros, we're going to make it. For all the Tallarico bros in the chat, things are looking up, okay? We're going to war with Iran. It's insane. We are already in war with Iran, chat. What do you mean? We've been in war.
An ally of President Trump, the president did not endorse any candidates in this primary. Ed O'Keefe is in Austin with the latest on this first key vote. It is officially midterm election season. Ed, good morning.
That's right. Get excited, Adriana. Good morning. Record Democratic turnout appears to have paid off in Tallarico's favor. As you mentioned, CBS News projects that he has defeated Congresswoman Crockett with more than 50% of the vote and avoids a runoff in May. The 36-year-old is a state lawmaker from here in the Austin area who put off his seminary studies in order to launch this campaign, believing he can combine support from Democrats, independents in this state, and Republicans upset with the president to successfully win. Now, over on the Republican side, failing to get 50% of the vote, Senator John Cornyn is now in a runoff with State Attorney General Ken Paxton. The senator saying last night he won't allow what he called a flawed, self-centered, and shameless candidate like Ken Paxton to risk decades of GOP success. Paxton has spent years facing multiple investigations, an impeachment attempt, and allegations of corruption. He says while national Republicans may be ready to spend tens of millions of dollars against him, quote, the people are on our side. Early polling shows Tallarico could defeat Paxton in November. That's the nightmare scenario for Republicans. Remember, Democrats haven't won a statewide race in the Lone Star State since back in 1994. One other thing we're watching here in Texas, bad signs for members of the House of Representatives. Already one of them has lost his job, Dan Crenshaw. He was not endorsed by President Trump, so his more conservative opponent prevailed in that primary, and we're keeping an eye on at least two Democratic House incumbents in this state from the Dallas and Houston areas who either are headed to runoffs or may have lost their primaries, and they were in those districts that were redrawn by Republicans in this state at the request of President Trump. Redistricting, Kelly, is indeed a factor in these races.
Oh, it definitely is. Those were some very surprising results. Ed, thank you.
Because I recognize
that. This is Reverend Frederick Douglass Haynes III, who also is replacing Jasmine Crockett's seat in Texas's 30th congressional district. This speech, this sermon he is delivering, is from October 8th, 2023. Listen to my man's words.
I recognize that we got to be pro-Israel. Yeah, we got to do that, or we get in trouble. Well, I'm coming to get in trouble. Israel, and I'm going to quote Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter says that Israel is engaging in apartheid with Palestinians. And so the Palestinians who don't have the weaponry of Israel, the Palestinians don't have the financial backing from the United States that Israel has. And so they throw their rocks and shoot their arrows, and Israel is able to bomb them and kill them. Watch in the news the disparity between Palestinians being killed and Israelis being killed. It is totally unfair, but this country is going to stand on the side of apartheid because that's its track record. It stood by apartheid in South Africa because it created apartheid in this country. Because the sad thing is, we live in a nation where twisted, toxic theology is poisoning the politics of this nation. Have you thought about the fact that this week in Utah, a white
dude, woke preachers rise the fuck up!
Christian got killed by a white Christian. And then the next day, HBCUs were under threat. Now, how'd we get in it? I mean, that's called white on white crime. You came the wrong Sunday if you thought I'm sorry, I see y'all are real sophisticated and you look really good. I hope they warned you about me, okay? Because on this Sunday, we gonna keep it 100. On this Sunday, we gonna tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And so here they are. Here they are. In Utah. It's more of us in church than in Utah. We ain't got nothing to do with what they just did. A white Christian gets killed, murdered, not assassinated. We're going to tell the whole truth today. Martin King got assassinated. Malcolm X got assassinated. Medgar X got assassinated. Don't compare Kirk to King. Ain't no such comparison now.
Bro, he said this right after Kirk got assassinated. This is the close murdered. Sorry, not assassinated. This is the closest I've ever felt in terms of timing and intensity of messaging and messaging discipline and consistency with anyone that's ever run for office. Like, literally, this is obviously, like, with Zoran, I felt represented in many ways that I never thought I would be represented in. Okay. But as far as like messaging intensity and timing, this is the closest I've ever felt to being represented.
Let me hasten to say, I'm anti-political violence. Kirk should still be alive. I don't agree with the time with anything Kirk said. What Kirk said was dangerous. What Kirk said was racist, rooted in white supremacy, nasty, and hate-filled. But he still should be alive. He still should be playing with his kids. He still should be experiencing the love with his wife. He still should be experiencing life as he saw it. I don't want anybody, please hear me well, anybody to be victimized by political violence, but I'm going to keep it a buck. Because one of the things that gets me, and we got some politicians in here, I'm going to tell y'all, I'm going to come for you if you ever say this. If you ever say, America, we better than this. You lying. You lying. We ain't better than this. America was born in political violence. America committed political violence during the slave trade. America committed political violence when black bodies hung as strange fruit on southern trees. America committed political violence against the Irish, against the Italians before they became white. America committed political violence when America passed Jim and Jane Crow laws. What do you think political violence was? Political violence when they bombed and massacred Black Wall Street when they massacred Rosewood, when they massacred whites and blacks in Wilmington, North Carolina. Well, what do you think political violence is? Martin being killed, that's political violence. John Kennedy being killed, political violence. Robert Kennedy being killed, political violence. And you gonna say we better than this? No, you can't fix what you won't face until you look in the mirror and say this is a violent country that has done violence to too many people. We will never get our act together. It's time to repent, because if my people called by my name humble themselves and pray, turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, forgive their sin, and heal the land. Come on, we better than this. No, we ain't. A lot of us don't realize this, but Martin
Yes, the interview's in the works. He's a Justice Democrat.
King in his last Sunday sermon said that, and he compared America to Dives in the parable of the rich man and Lazarus. And Lazarus is poor. Dives is rich. Dives is Elon Musk rich. And when justice showed up, Lazarus goes to heaven. The question is, why did Dives go to hell? Dives went to hell, Dr. King said, because he majored in minors and minored in majors. Dives went to hell because he didn't recognize that your wealth ain't about you. It's what you can do for others around you. Dives went to hell, and then Dr. King said America may have the same experience. America may go to hell because America has President Elon Musk, straight out, who grew up in South African apartheid. He grew up with black folk, second-class citizens, violently being suppressed. And now Elon Musk has ordered his puppet to withdraw aid from South Africa.
I slow down here because there is a political environment that has made othering okay. A political environment that has weaponized hatred. And as a consequence, we have a terrorist group of ICE agents who are moving throughout this nation and engaging in waging war on communities, especially communities of color. I'm here to fight against that. I'm here to stand against that. 9 persons have been killed since September by ICE agents. That's not accidental. That's a trend. That's a pattern that has been set up by the environment created by a rogue White House with a Congress that won't hold that White House accountable.
You should be seeing Twitter right now. They're now digging up tweets from 2020 of Talarico saying racism is bad and every Republican in the country is coding this. They're scared. Yeah, the environment shifted last night when a swagged out, quirked up white boy that kind of came out of nowhere and did like a fucking Jubilee video and shit turned around and blessed the timelines with a resounding W, with a commanding victory in the Democratic primaries. Okay? Now, of course, it's frustrated a lot of K-hivers and they're, you know, they're licking their wounds currently. I'm sure they're going to be fucking extra annoying after they're done licking their wounds. But another brilliant opportunity arose from that moment. Democratic U.S. House candidate Frederick Haynes is filling the seat of Jasmine Crockett. Now, there's another person who's running for Congress that I'm going to have on the broadcast in a brief moment. Hold on, I gotta throw this stuff around. It's Shoykot, right? Am I saying it right? Shoykot Chakrabarty in the building, ladies and gentlemen. He's running for Nancy Pelosi's seat. I am very familiar with. Yeah, you can pull that. I've known all about Shoykov for many, many years. All right, you got it.
Dolce & Gabbana.
Yeah, it's a Dolce & Gabbana razor collab. You are way more brolic than I thought you were going to be. Let's just start there, you know? Hold on. Okay. Shoykov, nice to meet you in person.
Very nice to meet you, Hasan.
I've been a fan of your work for a while, but there are also moments where I've been a little bit confused about like some of the things that you've done. You're running for Nancy Pelosi's seat that's being vacated, which is strange because she's so young. She's so young, probably one of the youngest communist voices we have in Congress, and it's really devastating for the left flank movement, the socialist movement in this country to lose such a reliable and valuable spokesperson for our cause. And yet you are selfishly running to fill the role of Nancy Pelosi, the shoes, fill in Nancy Pelosi's shoes.
I've heard that so many times.
in one of the bluest places in well, I was gonna say in one of the bluest places by the population might be very blue, but I think like the moneyed interest is not.
Yeah.
And speaking of moneyed interest, you are technically moneyed interest. You're very moneyed up.
Yeah.
So let's start there. You've called yourself a class trader.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean for you? Why do you say you're a class trader? How rich are you? And will you give me $1 million?
If you're doing good work, Hasan, I mean, yeah, I worked in the tech industry when I first came out to San Francisco, but I didn't grow up rich. I grew up middle class, went to public schools in Texas. And, my parents grew up, frankly, poor in India. I was the son of immigrants from India, right? And especially my dad. My dad was a refugee because of partition. And you're really well read on history, so you actually know what partition is probably. But, for people who don't know, partition was this terrible event where the British cut up India across religious lines. And my dad's family was one of the 15 million displaced families during that. And so, after he was born in what's now Bangladesh, back then it was East Pakistan, came over to Calcutta. And they ended up squatting in this abandoned Muslim dentist's office or a house. He probably had to go the other way. And, he grew up struggling. He had a family of 12 in this tiny 1-bedroom apartment, often had no idea where his next meal would be coming from. And those stories really shaped a lot of my childhood. My grandfather was a teacher. He started the public school in that refugee community. And even now, when I go back to visit Calcutta with my dad, there's people on the streets. This is this massive neighborhood with millions of people that live there. They will call out my dad and be like, "Your dad saved my life," right? That was the value of that service. And so my dad came here with literally $8 in his pocket. I used to say he came here with $20 in his pocket, and he actually fact checked me on that over Thanksgiving. He was like, "No, it was $8."
Okay, we're first call out.
Yeah.
You've been lying about how much money your father had. This is the attack ads that are coming in.
Yeah, exactly, right? So I'm sorry, Dad, if you're watching Hasan for some reason. But
why say some reason?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. Actually, I don't know what my dad watches these days.
I am the number one outlet for unks, especially unks from developing nations, from Bangladesh to all around, really.
No, I believe that. So yeah, Dad might be in the chat right now.
Yeah, low key, they watch me with their hands clasped behind their backs, like they're watching Al Jazeera. They're like, "What's going on? What's Israel up to now?" Is what they're saying, and they're watching me.
Anyway, long story short, I didn't grow up political. I was saying all that to say, I didn't grow up political. I grew up with my dad's stories, and honestly, I didn't know. I speak Bengali, and I thought the word for politician in Bengali was the same word as crook until a few years ago. And so when I graduated college, I ended up coming out to San Francisco to work in the tech industry, and part of that was to make money, to put my family on financial stability. And part of it was I was a little naive. I thought I'd be using tech to solve some of these big problems in the world.
Were you an effective altruist?
No, that didn't exist back then.
But you were inventing it from first principles.
No, I wasn't even that much into it. I was just like a kid taking the first job he could.
I don't even care about doing.
I was just like, tech seems cool. Yeah, I'll go try to make my mark. And I came out to SF, and you work in the tech industry, and you see all the problems all around you. Like the homelessness was going up literally while I was there. I came out in 2009, you know, the cost of living was skyrocketing in that 2-year period. And I ended up, I joined this company Stripe as a second engineer. And, you know, because I was in the right place at the right time, I ended up making a lot of money. And that was a profoundly
what's your net
radicalizing-
worth right now?
I call myself a centimillionaire.
Okay, we go band for band. You got me. Wait, centimillionaire? What's that? The 100 million?
In the hundreds of millions. Yeah.
In the hundreds of millions?
Yeah.
God damn it. Subscribe. I can't even. I just got we went band for like a second. For 1 second. I showed my first money wad and he was like, sheesh, you're done. Okay, so you have multiples.
Yeah.
Well, okay, to be fair, the last guy that sat in that seat was Tom Steyer. So
no, I don't got Tom Steyer money. I'll say that. But
what the fuck am I doing? I'm like, I'm the most prominent socialist voice in North America, and I've had a centimillionaire and a billionaire. What is happening? I've sold out. Everyone was right. I'm a sheepdog for the Democratic Party, and also, propping up wealthy people.
Moving up in the world, Hasan, is how you know, right?
So you're. I mean, I got a little bit. I got a little something. It's fun. It's something light. Something light. That's why you're sitting on the Dolce & Gabbana Razor collab chair. So you're a centimillionaire. My last question was, before we get into the Clash Trader equation, my last question to you was, how many millions will you give me?
Well, I try to figure out who needs it for what. So what do you need it for, Hasan?
Arm the revolutionary vanguard. No, just kidding. All right, we'll get to that in a second. So you're a Clash Trader. Yeah, you got a couple hundred mils, not a big deal. But somewhere along the line, you realize like this is unsustainable. This isn't working because before you ran for office, before you started running for office, you were in politics.
Yeah. I've been. I mean, so the whole long.
People might be surprised where you were in politics.
Right. I mean, it's because I've had that whole story. I mean, like, it's crazy that you can just end up working at a place early on and just be in the right place at the right time, and you hit the startup lottery like I did, and you can have everything. And then, I worked hard for a couple of years, but they're like, teachers, nurses, the people actually run society, they work hard every day and they can't afford a home in San Francisco, right? So I didn't know, I mentioned I wasn't political, so I didn't know exactly what the problem is, but I knew this wasn't it. And so I quit tech. And at the time, the only person I heard talking about this stuff in any sort of a serious way was Bernie Sanders. And that's how I ended up joining the Bernie Sanders campaign in 2016. And I also got just really interested in this question of like, how have we gotten out of this mess before? How have other countries gotten out of this mess before? And I, read a lot. I had a whole, kind of new worldview that came up over the last 10 years. But that's why I've, worked on taxing the rich and fixing this.
New worldview, which is like the oldest guy in American politics who is,
I know, right?
Who has like a 800-year track record of promoting an even older ideology that I also happen to subscribe to as well.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more radical than Bernie in many respects. But having said that, so you encountered the gospel of socialism, is what you're saying. Would you consider yourself a socialist? Would you say you're a socialist?
I don't use labels because my experience of it, I'll tell you the stuff I'm running on, but my experience of it is like half the people just close their ears, and I run ideas first. Like I run on the policies
That's
first.
Fair. I too was a coward at some point. No, it was. I always say it's the biggest mistake of my career is to ever adopt the moniker, because then people put you in a box and they don't care about what you're advocating for. They don't want to hear what you have to say. There's a lot of baggage that people associate with the term. It's fine. Okay, next question. What's up with brown boys wearing Casio watches regardless of how much money they have? Because Zoran has like...
So this is actually a gift from my dad for my 40th, because he always wore this watch.
Is it like a swag thing? Is that...
No, I think it's just literally what every immigrant like dad wore their entire childhood.
Okay.
So that's what I got nostalgia for.
Okay. I mean, I couldn't help but notice because he pulled up with the
same. Was it the same Casio?
I don't think it was the same Casio, but he pulled up with the Casio when I talked to him as well. So you also worked with AOC for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that was very good. I think there was. This was like your political experience is in the early stages of like, I guess, the new American democratic socialist movement. Like your politics experience comes from that background, just so people understand. then you left politics. You went back to, I guess, like the tech space a little bit, or you were still, fundraising for candidates? Like, what did you do?
I never left politics. I worked around Bernie. There's a group of us who started Justice Democrats.
Yeah.
And the initial idea around Justice Democrats was recruit hundreds of people to all run for Congress on.
This guy is also a Justice Democrat.
I know.
He's on the Justice Democrat lineup. Justice Democrats took a lot of W's home last night. So obviously we're going to be talking about that as well.
Yeah. But, that was the project through which we recruited AOC, ran her campaign in 2018 when she won as her chief of staff. I did the Green New Deal work with her in D.C. And after that, I've been running a think tank called New Consensus, where we've been doing basically like, I call it a sequel to a Green New Deal, but like a comprehensive, detailed plan for how do you actually build a new economy? How does like the nation intentionally build the economy it wants to build? So we call it the Mission for America. Part of it is like, we talk about the political strategy, we talk about the institutions we got to build, but we also talk about this whole other mode of governing you got to get into, that countries get into when they want to take this stuff seriously. So that's been the focus of my work for the last, since I left AOC's office.
Yeah. I'll be honest. There have been a lot of people on background that have vouched for you. One of them is my uncle. He really likes you, just so you know. Another one was my spy that I think at some point worked with you and had nothing but nice things to say. Eric Hovagim, who he's a HasanAbi head who now lives in China, content creator. He's great. It definitely, because when I saw that you were as rich as you are, and also on top of that, there was an instance where I believe you had fundraised against a DSA-backed candidate in San Francisco. I had a little bit of, I was a little bit worried. But you seem very solid. What was the reason why you fundraised against a DSA candidate, which I believe was also endorsed by Nancy Pelosi?
Yeah, it's a confusing situation locally. Long story there. Like the guy, I wasn't fundraising against him. I was backing this guy Bilal. And, I've known him. We worked on climate stuff together at the state.
Brown Boy Coalition?
It wasn't exactly Brown Boy Coalition. We did like an op-ed on a Green New Deal for California. But the bigger thing is like, I have the same housing politics as like Zoran, right? It's like, I think we have to build tons of social housing. I think we need rent control. And I think we need zoning reform. And we actually need to make it cheaper and easier to construct, right? And in that race, he lined up more with my housing politics. So that was one reason. But I just want to put it in context because, as you mentioned, like I'm a centimillionaire, so I do support tons of candidates and causes every cycle. So like that cycle, the biggest amount of my efforts were towards protecting people like Summer Lee and Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush, who are just getting this onslaught of AIPAC money coming their way. And it was also California Prop 5. I don't know if you remember that, but it was like a proposition to basically raise taxes to unleash tens of billions of dollars of affordable housing money. So we know when you support a bunch of stuff, you don't always line up on every single one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I have this theory that unfortunately, blue safe havens, like blue strongholds like New York and California, have oftentimes created some of the most annoying neoliberals in the party that safeguard third way neoliberalism and centrism when there is so much more room to grow in terms of left position politics, left populism in general. Nancy Pelosi basically was the major hurdle to a lot of leftist politics being realized in the country from her position, from her throne, really. I mean, she's still Speaker Emerita and has done things directly from a hospital bed when she was traveling, when she fell and broke her hip, and to make sure that AOC was not appointed as the lead in the House Oversight Committee to become one of the voices of the party. What are some of the reasons why you feel best suited for this role?
So the reason I'm running ultimately is because I don't believe the current Democratic Party is at all capable of doing anything in this moment. They're not capable of stopping Trump. They don't have a vision for what a new economy would be that would actually stop fascism from coming back anytime. And, I did the Justice Democrats thing to try to push the party leadership. And my whole lesson from that was, you can't push them. You have to replace them. We have to primary them. We have to actually do the political revolution and go in there and replace a lot of leadership. I saw someone in chat mentioned that, I donated Chiose. Yeah, when Chiose popped up, he said he was going to primary Hakeem Jeffries.
You're giving all the bans to the HasanAbi heads, but not me, HasanAbi. What's going on?
If you run for office, Hasan,
I'm not.
You know where to come ask it. But
okay.
Look, I was disappointed she didn't end up running. But yeah, I basically think we've got like a 2 to 4 year period where maybe we can completely change the party and actually build an economy that works for working people. And that's possible right now. And that's literally why I jumped in, and you're seeing it all across the country, right? There's candidates popping up all over the country, people like Reverend Haynes here and Nida Alam and others who want to challenge the establishment. And I've been reaching out to them. I'm trying to organize with them. I'm trying to talk to them because I think there could be a team of us that actually make it happen.
I think so too. And that is what I'm trying to do. A bunch of other content creators are trying to do to the best of our ability with the limitations that we have, obviously. But I do think that there is an organic movement that's building, and not even because tens of millions of Americans in the countryside or tens of millions of Americans living in like rural areas have tuned into my broadcast and become hypnotized with like the socialism beam or anything. They're just recognizing that the contradictions are worsening, and they're recognizing that like their material conditions are worsening, and the American trajectory is downward right now.
Yeah.
And when they see that, when they experience that, and then on top of that, they see state repression, whether it be unlimited tax dollars going to a foreign country like Israel to wage a genocide, to conduct a genocide with no accountability whatsoever, and then the domestic repression that comes along when you protest it, or whether it be all the money going to ICE to build a Gestapo force for Donald Trump that's unaccountable. When people realize that, when people start experiencing that, they get very frustrated, and they don't really have a really good outlet to communicate their desires and communicate a positive change for themselves. And I think it's important for people like yourself, people like myself, to do our very best to lead lead people in a better trajectory, in a more politically advantageous trajectory where they have some kind of autonomy, they have some kind of political power.
And I just want to say, like I've lived through a couple of these moments of change with like the Bernie campaign and with Justice Democrats, because I was in this moment where Trump had just won. People were pissed. People wanted to look for some vision for the future. And there was like this blip that allowed the squad to get elected, AOC to get elected. But it was still the case that when I was running those campaigns, the people showing up were like lefty activists, progressives, and then a little bit of like new people. Right now, the people showing up to my campaign, the people I see stepping up to run for office, it's like everybody. The mainstream Democrats are realizing that this current party is hosed, and we have to completely change it and do something new. And so we have to jump on it. It's happening all over the world. I mean, it's usually right-wing movements that are coming to power, but not everywhere. There's Morena in Mexico that, came to power, made people's lives better. And now they're the most popular party in the world, right?
Yeah. So, no, absolutely. A question I have for you is a question that I ask everyone that's running. I call it the Zoran method, but if you were to be defined by 5 policies, what would your top 5 policies be?
All right. Say number 1 is we got to make the essentials affordable by just having the government provide them. So that means universal health care. Medicare for all is a great start, but that's not a healthcare system. It's a health insurance program. We got to expand beyond that to direct government provided healthcare. I think something like the Nordic country system or the NHS is really the gold standard here. It means public power, which they have in cities all around California. They pay half of what we do. Publicly owned broadband. It means building tons of social housing and getting private equity and hedge funds out of our housing market. So that'll be number 1. Number 2, end political corruption. If we're asking for the government to do stuff for people, you got to be able to trust the government. So that means no congressional stock trading, no revolving door between Congress and the lobbying industry. I like a fully publicly financed election system, so no private money at all in our campaigns. And actually, hold accountable all the people who are doing corrupt stuff right now, investigate them, throw them in jail. We have to actually hold powerful people accountable if we want people to trust that this stuff works. 3, we got to end all the freaking wars. I mean, and get the power of declaring war back into the hands of Congress, slash the military budget, end U.S. interventionism all over the world. We've killed millions of people over decades of failed foreign policy. And that's been a bipartisan consensus, right? That's been Democrats and Republicans doing that. We have to completely break that because right now we've created a system where Trump is now basically dragging us into World War III. I know the way to put this is like, don't have World War III. None of this will matter if we have World War III, right? Number 4 is no one else really talks about this part, but I think we need to start planning for a publicly owned economy. And what I mean by that is, I know this is not like news to you, but what I mean by that is right now, we've got AI and robots that might be replacing a whole lot of work. And the way it's going right now is essentially, like, if you think about it, some of these industries, it's already happening, like the insurance underwriting industry, financial services. I'm a coder, right? So like coders might not exist in like a few years. These like AI companies are just going to subsume all these industries and end up owning a huge part of the economy. We're going to end up in this Mad Max dystopia where a few companies and people own everything and everyone else is in this permanent underclass. So instead, what I think we should do is try to create the Star Trek future, right? Where if something doesn't require work, we just provide that as a public option, essentially for free to the public. And then number 5, I'd say it would be to enact a mission for America to actually build a clean economy that creates prosperity for all. And I've talked about how we got the comprehensive detailed plan over at newconsensus.com. You should check it out. But we need whole new institutions for public financing that we don't have. We need a different kind of political strategy, and we have to get into this different mode of governing. We've been calling it mission mode, for lack of a better word, that basically every country goes through when they dramatically transform their economies. And if I can throw in a number 6, it would be build the train. We got to build the train. We got to build the train.
Stop. Enough.
Got to build high-speed rail.
Enough. You're just, you're doing this on purpose. I got to grab a drink. Hold on. God damn.
Build the train. Build the train.
Okay. Listen, everyone is already going crazy in the chat. That was really good. All 5 of those policies I'm on board with. You also mentioned social housing, which I feel like, and I try to bring this up with like electeds all the time. I feel like it's not necessarily at the forefront of people's minds for some reason, especially when they're campaigning. I think I know what the reason is, obviously. But how much of an emphasis do you have on trying to build policy initiatives, build policy papers? Because like you already have some structure of a think tank as well, so that like gives you a lot more opportunity, a lot more room to be an advocate for legislation, as opposed to a lot of congresspersons that just come in and even if they're like DSA backed or DSA endorsed or literally a part of the DSA unfortunately has limitations with respect to like policy papers that they can write and then like put in front of congressional representatives. And I think that goes a long way in terms of manipulating a lot of legislators because they don't want to fucking do the job. And to be fair, I also kind of understand because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of problems. Are there any initiatives specifically in terms of building social housing in this country? And what do you think some of the primary setbacks that will come up when focusing on building social housing?
Yeah. So at the think tank I run, New Consensus, we do have really detailed policy papers. I'd say the one of the most detailed proposals we have is for bringing back something called the Reconstruction Finance Corporation. This is a state-owned corporation that existed during the New Deal and the World War II era. It was basically our engine of growth and development during that whole period. And it's kind of like a public bank. I think people know about public banks. Like it definitely, can do low interest loans and do all that kind of stuff. But it had a more proactive role in the market than that. Like it had this proactive role where it would go out and figure out what's missing, what can we not do, and why is it missing, and what do we need to spin off to do it. So I bring that up because I think we just don't have that organ in our government at all. So the RFC could do things like directly finance affordable housing and social housing, but it could also spin off a public developer if you can't find a nonprofit developer to do it, to build the social housing. You could do things like, and it did do this during World War II, stockpile building materials to control for inflation costs. It's just this whole thing. And the crazy thing is it's not like, some new idea. Basically, every modern developed country has some form of public finance. And it really boils down to this idea that we should, as a nation, have national goals. This is why I think things like AI and where we're at are really forcing this conversation, but we should have goals.
Like a 5-year plan.
Yes,
Maybe. I agree with that.
We should have goals, and we should use the economy to achieve those goals. Whereas right now what we have is an economy that's driven just by profit, and then the nation follows. It's the tail wagging the dog, right? But yeah, I mean, it is like the whole idea around mission mode that I was talking about is you make plans, not just passing. You don't just pass policies and take your hands off the steering wheel. That's how we did in World War II. It's how Europe rebuilt after the war. It's how all the Asian countries got rich. And you also have to have institutions that finance and coordinate those plans. That's what the RFC was for us. And we had a bunch of state banks back in the day too. But long story short, I think it's not just because a lot of people talk about the Faircloth Amendment. We have something called the Faircloth Amendment that prevents building new public housing in the country. And we absolutely need to repeal that. But it's not enough to do that. We actually have to create agency as a nation to be able to then go do it.
Yeah, that sounds great to me. What do you think about a federal jobs guarantee?
Yeah, I think we got to do it, especially in the age of AI. You know, we talked a lot about it in 2018 when I was in there with AOC. We're trying to popularize the idea. My only thing is I think a federal jobs guarantee has to be combined with an actual program of the jobs you're building, right? So that's why I want to talk about like the Mission for America. I mean, I'd love to see a federal jobs guarantee as like the way we start retraining the workforce into some guaranteed job at the end, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, the way I see it is we always have some pre-existing structures that we can point to as far as like competent institutions. One of those institutions is ironically the military.
Yep.
Except, you know, as time has gone on, the enshittification has also taken place in the military, like privatization and the major defense contractor bloat that exists, the expansive, the unimaginably expansive budgets for the military. That's like this unaccountable force that can't pass a budget ever. What's your solution? Because you talked about like ending all of the wars, but what's your solution to that? Can the military be restructured to work in favor of the citizens, whether it be citizens overseas, but certainly citizens here in the United States, because it's a massive jobs program in the hands of the federal government.
And it's a very skilled workforce. So yeah, I absolutely do. We have some plans for doing this in the Mission for America, but we should repurpose a lot, like the Army Corps of Engineers, to be building infrastructure in the country, right? I mean, we did some of this during COVID, right? Where like we built these military hospitals. I mean, they didn't get used, but they got put up really fast. But also the way we did the manufacturing miracle for actually mass manufacturing the vaccine was like, there was this general, I forgot his name, but he got put in charge of the whole supply chain. And he was literally like flying around the country, figuring out what the bottlenecks are and getting people to work together and then just solving this problem. And that kind of massive logistical support is something the military is good at. It's literally the same thing we did during World War II, where like, you know, we had the war, but we had to build this whole new economy at home to, create the arsenal of democracy. And FDR literally made this guy, Bill Knudsen, who was like he used to run GM, but he was like an engineer. He made him a 4-star general, gave him a plane, and he would fly around, you know, trying to get all these factories to get on board, building what we needed to build, sharing the IP, doing everything we possibly can. So yeah, we gotta reuse the military for good stuff, not just bombing countries.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Speaking of the military and endless militarism, what's your take on what's going on right now? As it seems, Israel, after waging a very bloody genocide and taking over even more territory in both Lebanon and Syria, has decided to goad the American government or bring around the American government to its final ambition of completely destroying the Iranian state. What's your attitude about that? And what's your attitude on Israel's genocide of the Palestinians as well? Because I think people will want to hear that as well, because I see it as a litmus test for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I've made it I'll talk about the Israel genocide in Gaza first. I've been pretty vocal about this from the start of my campaign. Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. We should not be providing any funds to Israel because they're going to use that to commit genocide in Gaza. It's against our own laws. It's against international laws. And of course, it's just morally horrific.
So you're also committed to You don't make a distinction between offensive and defensive.
Correct.
Weapons.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Israel makes a distinction between offensive and defensive.
No, it doesn't.
funds.
It's fungible, and also any dollar that goes into Israel means it's a dollar that they use in building their offensive capabilities. It's ridiculous, unless
I mean, if there were any other country, this wouldn't even be a discussion.
Yeah,
right? If there's any other country committing genocide,
no one is being like, why don't we arm the Russian civilian population with anti-aircraft munitions?
Right, and like the thing is, there's also a real meaning to the word genocide. Like if you look at when the word genocide got defined by the ICJ, we actually have a obligation to try to stop it. Right, so it's not just that we should stop funding the genocide. We should be using whatever pressure we have, just like we did in South Africa, to stop the genocide, right? That's incumbent on us. But yeah, what's going on with Iran?
This is where you're supposed to say you're not suicidal.